straight up, yeah, you know we came way up. Hustle from the bottom, now look, we rich and famous. Way up, straight up, yeah, you know these streets dangerous. Made it from the bottom, now look, we rich and famous. Way up, straight up, yeah, you know street life dangerous. Hustle from the bottom, now look, we rich and famous. Way up, yeah, can't nobody save us. Way up, way up.
Wait, put it on way up. Cause you know I hustle, I came from the bottom, I'm way up. Yeah, you done it so many times, now you know we way up. Making a move, this is the life that I choose. What else do I gotta lose? Thinking I'm walking my shoes, no. My father had more than that, they taught me to survive. Switching no sides, made it out with all my guys. Now we just conquer the fight. We gotta go, right away, oh no. Topping all my goal, I don't know. I don't ever know, I don't ever know.
Straight up, yeah, you know we came way up. Hustle from the bottom, now look, we rich and famous. Way up, straight up, yeah, you know these streets dangerous. Made it from the bottom, now look, we rich and famous. Way up, straight up, yeah, you know street life dangerous. Hustle from the bottom, now look, we rich and famous. Way up, yeah, can't nobody save us. Hustle from the bottom. Remembering all of the pains, thought I was free, my mind was in chains. Fire ignite, I ran through the flames. They don't know greatness was stuck in my veins. I couldn't wait, level up so hard that the dollars gonna remember my name. Look at my aim, shoot for the sky, I might end up owning all of the planes. Woo!
I'm on a level that I don't wanna stop. Going up again, ain't nobody's gonna top. Ain't no one gonna stop. Straight up.
Straight up, yeah, you know we came way up. Hustle from the bottom, now look, we rich and famous. Way up, straight up, yeah, you know these streets dangerous. Made it from the bottom, now look, we rich and famous. Way up, straight up, yeah, you know street life dangerous. Hustle from the bottom, now look, we rich and famous. Way up, yeah, can't nobody save us. Way up. Hustle from the bottom.
Way up, save us. Way up, 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 way up.
Straight up, yeah, you know we came way up. Hustle from
Well, what's going on, everybody? It is the first episode of the Dead Money Sports Gambling Parlor Live here on YouTube and also available on deadmoneysports.com. Anytime after the live recording, they'll be posted to all the platforms. But hey, it's the start of the 2024-25 season. It's the official schedule release, and we're going to watch the schedules and see what games we like. They've already released some games. We've got the week one first game of the year is the Baltimore Ravens heading to Kansas City, a rematch of last year's playoff game. Should be a great game. Obviously, there's a long way between now and September. A lot of things can happen with injuries, and we still have some free agent signings going on. So it's going to be an interesting couple of months. I'll be posting at least once a week here during the lead up to the preseason. And then once we get into the regular season, I'll be doing shows throughout the week. I'll do the show when the lines are released for the Circa Millions contest. I'll also do a pick show normally after, like, closer to the weekend, and then we'll do a primetime Sunday night watch, and then also a Monday night primetime watch. So set the notification bell and be sure to subscribe if you're not already. But I hope everybody joins me throughout the season. But now, we're just getting into the nitty gritty of this upcoming NFL season. they're getting ready to start releasing these the full schedules. Again, we've gotten some games. We've got some interesting matchups with the international games. We're going to be seeing some more of that. So I'm definitely excited to talk about it. What do we got here? We've got first game up of the regular season is, here we go. We've got Baltimore at Kansas City. Right now it's -2.5 for Baltimore. That's the first game of the season. Money line plus 135. And the over-under is 47.5. So, it's going to be interesting to, see the Kansas City Chiefs. From what I've seen, they play Baltimore on a Thursday night, so they'll have extra rest. But then the following week, they've got the Cincinnati Bengals again at Arrowhead. So they do get the home field, but being the Super Bowl champions, you get one of the toughest schedules, and Kansas City's looking like they're already could be in a bad situation depending on how they start their first game. They could be 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2, and really trying to dig themselves out. And we don't even know what's going to happen with the Broncos and the Chargers and the Raiders. I mean, they're all with new head coaches and new quarterbacks. There's all kinds of changes going on in that AFC West division. So I'm excited to see how that's going to shake out. But, Kansas City's going to have an uphill climb if they're going to want to repeat as Super Bowl champions. But now we've got the NFL schedule getting ready to be released. Let's see if we can hear it. Let's see. Here we go.
Of the last two seasons, he was 5-1 last year when he did play, but the offense just didn't look like it did when Joe Flacco was running the offense. So hopefully his time off last year would allow
So here we go.
allowed Deshaun Watson to learn this offense a little more.
Yeah, we've
so he
also
can come
got
out and
week
get
one.
back into that MVP
Cowboys at the
form.
Browns. That
Obviously,
should be a
guys,
pretty good
the
game.
defense
Obviously,
in
with Deshaun
Cleveland gets after
Watson
it, so I can't wait to see this game.
healthy,
And
the
they're playing the
defense,
Cowboys,
Miles
who are
Garrett
all
healthy, going up against
Which is
Michael
nice to see.
Parsons and Dak
That's just a
Prescott, and
different
that
definition of all in than
revamped
most people are all
Dallas
about.
defense.
That just means
But
this current iteration of the Cowboys.
It's going to be an
are
interesting game. It's a
This might be it
late
for them.
start,
Yes,
so
you
it'll
know
be
what
the
I mean? Yes. It is.
late
For me,
window game for
I just
primetime
wanna
if
go
you
to
don't
Sao
have a
Paulo,
local
Rich.
game.
To have a game there to start
But
the
yeah,
season off
Cleveland,
on a Friday,
and then
down in Sao
here we
Paulo,
go.
we're talking about the Green
Week
Bay Packers
one,
and the Philadelphia Eagles.
they have an
Two
international
young
game
quarterbacks
first
going
week of
after
the
it. The Green
season,
Bay Packers come on
Friday.
late, running the football.
An
They have
8
a lot of
p.m.
changes in
start
their
on the
backfield.
East Coast, 5
But to
o'clock
see what
out
the
here on the
Philadelphia
West
Eagles
Coast.
have done, they've only
And they're
gotten
playing
better.
in Sao Paulo,
You were at the
Brazil,
draft, Rich.
at the
You heard all the
Corinthians
cheers of their first
stadium.
round draft
So
pick, their second round draft pick. They got to cover some
that's
young
going to be
guys
fun.
that we're watching right here. Jordan
Brazil,
Love
I
is
don't know
taking
what the
a big
weather's
step. Let's see
like.
what kind of step he takes
I imagine it's an
going
outdoor
forward.
stadium.
But to
It's
start this
probably
game
more
off, to start it overseas,
designed
the
for
first time, in South
soccer and
America,
that kind of
that's gonna
stuff.
be
But
huge.
we're
I'm taking a look at the game
we're
across
getting
because Jim Harbaugh is back in the National Football
an
League.
interesting
You know,
start
after
to the season with,
coaching
again,
the
2
national
playoff
champion
teams
Michigan Wolverines.
having to travel to South America
I appreciate you saying that.
in order to play their first game of the season, and then they're going to have to travel all the way back from South America. And we're not sure exactly what their second,
it's the Chargers
the
against
second
the
game of the
Raiders.
year is.
Antonio
But
Pierce's
I
first
imagine there'll
game
be
as the
home games as
full-time
they'll get to
HC.
open
As
up
you
their
know,
season in
across the street,
Lambeau and
Raiders
Lincoln
fans usually
Field
show up
in
full-throated
week 2.
here in this
So
town. And
how will
now
that
Harbaugh's
affect
here, you
them
see his
with
face
that
all
travel
over
going
this
down to
town,
all the way down to South
on
America
billboards
to
and trying to get
Brazil?
some awareness
Will there
up
be
for
any-
how the Chargers can play some serious
Will they go
football in
early
this division with Justin
so they can
Herbert?
get acclimated to the
I'm
area
really
and
eager to see
do
what an interesting
the
first game at home
all
for
the
Jim Harbaugh back in
media
the
obligations
NFL
and
taking on the Raiders.
sightseeing and
Teams
all
that
that
wanna
stuff
be
in
physical.
Brazil,
That's what I was
or will they go
Pierce was
down
talking
there
about,
and
our
make it business
mindset,
as
the
usual
physicality
since
as
it,
being the Raiders, and then
make it
Jim
about
Harbaugh,
business
he's
since
gonna
it
be a
is the
22
first
personnel,
game of the
which I
season.
love as a running back. They're going to have
And we
running backs.
know,
They're going to get after it. It's going to be some
I think we're
fireworks
down
over
to
there, not
3 games
the ones
now in
shooting
the
out of the
See the
stadium.
pictures of Joe Allstate
preseason,
and put out there on line
and
that dude,
starters
let him out.
normally
Did you
only
see that
play
dude? He was choking
very
out.
limited minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
So
some
guys
other
like
sneaky
Jordan
week one
Love
games
and
as well. The
Jalen
Steelers, the
Hurts
Falcons.
and all these guys on
You
Green
know,
Bay
Russell
and
Wilson taking
Philly,
on, we're assuming
they're not
with
going to see
Justin
much
Fields taking
time
on the Atlanta Falcons,
in the
and we assume it's Kirk
preseason.
Cousins,
And so
who's
what
gonna
do we
be
have to
healthy enough
expect
go
in
right
week
there. And
1
the Texans and the Colts,
with
last time they played each other, it was one of
basically a
those
road
Week
game for
17
both teams
de facto
in
playoff
a
games,
foreign
winner and loser goes
country?
home. So
And
that's some neat stuff right there.
how are they going to
The Kansas
plan
City
for
Chiefs
this?
have chimed in. with their interesting.
We haven't gotten
graphic
anything
record
else
with
yet.
home opener.
What other
Yeah, I
games
mean,
do we have?
They have the home opener, and then they've got another
We've got,
one the
there
next
it is,
week.
Greenway
Their week 3 game
at
after
Philadelphia.
starting
They're
against the
that game in
Ravens
Sao Paulo
and the
is
Bengals
minus
is the
1.5
Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. So
spread
that's
with the
gonna
money
be
line plus
quite
106
an
minus
interesting first
115.
three
I would
games
shop
for the
around, and
Kansas
then the
City
total's
Chiefs.
49.
My guys are getting up
Now,
right here.
I
Brian
imagine the
Robinson,
total
Brian
that
Robinson.
high,
It's
two
time to do
teams,
your first
playing
win-loss
basically their
game
first
of
meaningful
3-hour
snaps as
schedule release
units
show. You're about to
in a
present
foreign
what happens
country
here in the
on a
three-peat
foreign
opportunity. What do you have?
Let's not
surface, because I
I'll
imagine
argue
it's a
with him all
soccer
night
field.
tonight. I'm just letting you know.
And
I don't
you know
mind.
the
It is
crowd's
gonna be
not going to
argument.
be like it would be if they were in Lambeau or in Lincoln. They're gonna, it's going to be a mixed bag of just NFL fans and in general. So that's going to be an interesting one. I kind of like the under in that game.
Coming in hot.
I got a video coming out for Dead Money Sports, the gambling parlor stories for the 5 best teams to have the best over seasons for a team. But I will say, in my research, out of all the seasons since 1978, when they went to the 16-game schedule, there's only been 6 seasons where if you exclusively bet the over, you would have turned a profit. 2 of those would have been basically nothing, and the other 4 you would have turned a slight profit. So out of however many seasons that is, 78, 88, 98, 2018,
going on for Justin Herbert. All right, what you got?
46 years or plus.
It's my turn. Yeah, thank you. You gave me
Only 6 seasons have
this is where the Chiefs start to get hot. Every year they get hot in November, late October,
using
November, December. We're going to have a win.
52.4
I have a loss
winning
there, so if you switch
percentage
that one,
if you're betting your
I'll say win this
traditional
one, but I think
minus
they're going to
110
lose to the
line on
Chargers
a
late in the
total.
year. When it
But
gets
yeah,
cold and Jim
this right
Harbaugh
here,
comes out, that
under
22 personnel
49
they get
in
going,
Brazil,
it gets
first
crazy.
game of the
I have
season.
them winning a tough
I
one
definitely
here.
would be all over that.
I have a loss here to the Texans.
I'm not one of those people
think the
who's going to
Texans have
bet
a little bit going on there.
4 months out. Who the
Win-win
hell
on the
knows
way
what
out
could happen in
on the road.
preseason or training
Rich?
camp? Happens every
That's
year.
kind of what it looks like.
A player that we
Minus
know
a
is
couple
going to be
losses.
great
Puts them in the running for the 1 seed. Here's our
ends up
exclusive game
getting
package
hurt
here on
and
NFL Network.
completely
We have
affects the
every
entire
single
season. Obviously,
international
with Aaron
games.
Rodgers is an
All
example. It
3
didn't happen
in
in the
London,
preseason,
2
but
of
it
them
happened
in
in the fourth
Tottenham. The
fucking
last
snap
one,
of the first
Patriots and
game of the
Jaguars,
year.
the second
Completely
straight week
changed
for the Jaguars
the
in London. That will be in
dynamics
Wembley.
of the entire league,
the
honestly,
international
because the
series
Jets, who were
returns to
deemed as a
Munich.
potential playoff
Giants
team,
and Panthers.
were
That's in
suddenly
week 10 there. And
back to
then
the
we
quarterback
have a
they didn't
triple
want.
header in
Couldn't
week
win a game because they
17
couldn't
on
score any
Saturday,
damn points,
December
even though their defense is pretty
28th.
damn good.
And as conditions warrant,
But okay,
the 3
what do we
games
see
will
in
come
here?
from these 5. So put a pin in all
see.
that while we are all excited to kick things off. Don't worry, kids, you can watch the next segment. Although the Dynamite Nikki Glazer is just here as a
commercial
if you
break
will,
right
way
now.
to let you know. We'll talk about Brady in a much
going
more
on.
safer work manner when we talk to Kevin Burkhardt, his future broadcast partner, after Nikki Glazer was his a couple of Sundays ago here in L.A., just up the road at the Forum from here.
So yeah, they're in commercial, but so far I think they've shown all the games that we know about. What else did I have? Yeah, here it is. We've got the Cincinnati at Kansas City. Kansas City right now is -4, money line plus 180 on the Bengals. Not bad considering it's a Burrowhead, right? They beat them last time, but that game could have gone either way last year. But again, revamped Bengals team. No more T. Higgins, no more Joe Mixon. Obviously, Kansas City. It's probably going to be without Rashee Rice. I imagine he's going to get put on the commissioner's exempt list while they do an investigation. The one incident was one thing, but now this is becoming repetitious with him. So I imagine he's going to miss some games. So we'll have to see what this Cincinnati team is going to look like without some of their key players. I mean, they lost some guys on defense last year that kind of hurt them in free agency, but that's the nature of the beast. When you're a successful team like that, you tend to lose players to worse teams that are looking to build around some guys that are part of a winning franchise. So Yeah, here we go. We've got week 2, Cincinnati, obviously, Kansas City. That's at Arrowhead. It is Sunday game. So I don't know if that was that say is it nighttime? It's I believe it's the afternoon game, so it's going to be a prime time. It'll be in the late slot on Sunday, which is awesome. You know, it's a hell of a matchup they got going on there. And so now week 2, we've also got Buffalo at Miami. That's going to be great. This is in London. This is at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London town. So both teams, I believe, played in London last year, if I'm not mistaken. So they're used to the travel. They're used to, you know, what it's going to take to go there and get prepared. You know, obviously the jet lag and everything like that. So I don't think it's anything new. So we may be in for a surprise in this game. Yeah, I remember Miami in particular lost to Kansas City on that weird game where Tyreek Hill got stripped of the ball and they returned it for a touchdown and nobody scored in the second half, or they shut Kansas City out in the second half, but they couldn't score enough points to get it. Yeah, it was weird. And in Buffalo, I believe they won. I want to say they may have beat Jacksonville. Who knows? Probably. I think it was Jacksonville. But yeah, that's gonna be a good game. That's obviously even match. It's -1, basically a pick 'em. The money line -105 on both sides, and then the total 51.5. And these early season overseas games are gonna make themselves prime consideration for being an under game, and yet because you have the high scoring Miami Dolphins offense and the Buffalo Bills offense that's traded out some pieces, got some rookie talent. They drafted the kid out of Florida State for to play wide receiver when lost to Stephon Diggs. Obviously, Josh Allen has to take a step forward, stop committing stupid turnovers in the red zone, and they've lost a few pieces on the defensive side of the ball too. So we're gonna have to see how that goes. But I do think that they're gonna be good. But again, we're rating this total of 51.5 as a home game. And they're both going over to London, so the road game for both teams. You expect them to start off slow and build themselves up. So I would certainly, so far, I'm seeing a lot of unders. So of the games they've released. So yeah. Now we've got who is it? Kevin Burkhardt. Okay. They still haven't dropped anything yet, though. What else do we got? We got the that's the Baltimore game. Okay, there's the London schedule. Week 1, Packers at Eagles in Brazil. Again, 49.5 is the total. I would certainly take the under in that game. Week 5, Jets at Vikings. And we've also got that Miami Dolphins game. But that's week 2, so that's not on here. I don't know why that's not on here. But then we've got the week 5 Jets versus the Vikings again in London at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Week 6, another one. So these are all going to be early starts on Sunday morning. You'll be up watching the Premier League on Sunday morning with these games because they start basically the same time. The Premier League's always on early in the morning. Out here on the West Coast anyway. And with these games, it always ends up being right around the same time. So week 5, we've got the Jets versus the Vikings. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers going up against the Vikings, their new quarterback, and obviously Justin Jefferson and everything that they've got going on over there, trying to build off of what they had last year, where they had a good team even though they didn't have a quarterback for much of it. Week 6, then we get the Jags versus the Bears. So we get to see Caleb Williams in primetime early in the morning, week 6, going up against Trevor Lawrence, out there again in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So they get the international crowd gets to see Caleb Williams hopefully in week 6, another early start game. Should be fun. The Bears are a pretty good team actually. I think they're going to do well. They won 7 games last year and they barely had an offense. They've loaded up on both sides of the ball. Their defense was pretty good last year. And I expect the offense to maybe take a step forward with some of the additions that they've made, including their rookie quarterback. So, Justin Fields, great athlete, not really an NFL quarterback. Let's see what Caleb Williams can do. But I like this game right here. And then week 7. So 3 weeks in a row, boom, 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 we've got London games. And the Jaguars get to hang out in foggy London town and wait on the New England Patriots to come on over with their new quarterback, Drake May, and their new head coach, Gerard Mayo. We're going to see what the Patriots are made of. The Jags will obviously have the rest advantage staying in London. But whether or not that'll be a good advantage or not, who knows? Are they going to go out and enjoy the nightlife while they're in London and explore? Or are they going to be locked in? We know the Patriots will probably be locked in. And then week 10, Munich, Germany. The New York Football Giants take on the Carolina Panthers. And boy, oh boy, the schedule makers did not do the German folks any favors with this particular game because not really going to be a barn burner according to the stats we've got right now. But, you never know. Even 2 uncompetitive teams in the league playing against each other can still be a competitive game. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But that's all the way in week 10, and that's the last international game of the season, I believe, is week 10. Obviously, we're going to see the schedule, but this is what they've released so far. So we got Brazil, 4 in London. One of the games isn't on here. Week 2, Buffalo at Miami, and then the last game in Germany is the Giants and Panthers. So okay. So, still waiting. All right, what do we got here? So it's the release party, release show. Here we go. I'm gonna do this. Let's see if we get fucking booted or not. I hope not. We'll see what happens. But we'll go like this.
Moments because we've never heard him really talk about that stuff, so I think there's going to be a lot of firsts for him where people are like, whoa, that was pretty neat.
And is a possibility of adding Nikki Glaser to the booth? What do you think, Kevin? Anything like that in the plans?
We were talking about that. I think that's maybe a 1% chance of happening, Rich. I mean, if that's we'll see, maybe halftime entertainment one of these weeks.
So you're saying there's a chance. You're saying there's a chance.
Telling me there's a chance.
Kevin, thanks for the time. Again, great Fox schedule starting with Cowboys and Browns and then Cowboys and Ravens. And congrats again on getting perhaps the biggest piece of filet mignon, which is the Super Bowl rematch in your Super Bowl season.
Thanks, my friend. Appreciate it. See you soon, Rich.
You got it. That's Kevin Burkhardt of NFL on Fox. It is time to predict the Cowboys schedule, gentlemen. You have at it.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. Cowboys, the other part of that Tom Brady first broadcast. All right, I got the Cowboys taking an L at first, coming out the gate to the Cleveland Browns. Then they win here. Talk about that man Lamar Jackson right there. I'm going to give them an L right there. Win here. This is intriguing for me. At Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh's going to be a physical team. I got them losing right there as well. At home, the Detroit Lions, they get a win there. What are they right now? 3-3 before their bye at San Francisco. They don't do well in San Francisco. I'm going to go ahead and give them an L right there. You get a win right here, and you got the Philadelphia Eagles at home. This will be critical to their success of their season. I give them a win right here, 5-4 halfway through their season.
Okay, the Texans. We've already heard C.J. Stroud and Micah Parsons kind of go back and forth. Cowboys lose that when the Texans are the better team right now. I say they beat Washington and Washington. They beat the Giants. It's Joe Burrow and them. That's a loss. Panthers W. I say they beat the Buccaneers. Now, this is going to be a tough game here. It's a loss and a win. There you go, 10-7.
Got him 10-7.
That's a great
That is-
game, Rich. That's a great season.
Is it really?
That's all in.
That is not. That is only 10 wins. That is.
Oh, I know.
It might get you in the playoffs.
That might be in. That might not, but not all in. NFL.com/tickets is a way for you to get single game tickets on sale right now through the NFL Ticket Network. Through ticket.
So they're just talking. It's going back to a commercial. They still haven't. They've released the ones we know about, but they haven't released any of the full schedules yet. But yeah, it's always fun to try to predict the futures of the seasons, but at the same time, you don't want to try to start predicting this stuff too early. Because again, I've been football fan forever and been betting for over a decade. One thing I can say without a shadow of doubt is that you always end up with key players, star players, guys that are important to the success of the team get injured in the early part of the season, and it completely changes things. It could change it for the good, could change it for the bad. We don't know. Obviously Kurt Warner, is the prime example of a person who, the quarterback got hurt in preseason, and nobody really expected much of him, and then boom, they win the Super Bowl. 150 to 1 odds to win the Super Bowl before that season started. The 1999 St. Louis Rams were. And you can see that and more, the videos that I have on my YouTube channel, Dead Money Sports, the Gambling Parlor Stories, teams with the longest odds to win the Super Bowl. 7 players to win both the MVP and the Heisman Trophy winner and their preseason odds to win. And as a matter of fact, one of those members won his second MVP. So I may have to do an update on the video, but I believe he's the only one. He's the only person to have won both the Heisman Trophy and the league NFL MVP. And Lamar Jackson has won it twice now. So amazing. But there's 6 other people. You can see that video on Dead Money Sports on YouTube or on deadmoneysports.com. It's in the video section. You can go through and watch any of them you want. And I'm going to have more I'm working on right now about the teams who have the best over season. So that'll be dropping in probably about a week with work and everything, and preparing for the season now that the season is starting. Going to be going through the schedule once it's released and, starting to do the work that it goes into to, not only do win totals, but, the preseason playoff odds and preseason, Super Bowl contenders as well as league leaders and other things like that, which I'll be bringing to you on Dead Money Sports at the Right Number Prop Show. It'll be here on YouTube and obviously on deadmoneysports.com, but I can't wait. Hoping to potentially go to some games this season. I didn't get to go last year. It was kind of disappointing after I had planned on it, but, things change. But hopefully this year we'll get an opportunity to go. Obviously, where I'm at right now in Lake Tahoe, closest game, like within driving distance I could go to is San Francisco, Santa Clara, or whatever, where the stadium is. Just unfortunately, their tickets are pretty expensive right now. So with them having the success that they've had over the last few years. So for me, I'll probably either be watching the games from home, or maybe I might go to a couple of the casinos here, the sportsbook here. There's one in Reno that's really nice called the Peppermill. None of them compare to the ones in Vegas, but still pretty nice. Yeah, so still in a commercial, obviously. It's week 1. International games. Again, there's one missing. There's one on week 2. The Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins again in London. So that ought to be fun. So this is going to be a great game to start the year. Thursday night football. I'll probably be doing a live stream watching the game from here in Zephyr Cove, and kicking off the NFL season. But before any of this, before any of the live streams or any of the regular season stuff, like I said, I'll be coming to you with the episodes each week during the off season, throughout the summer. And as we get closer to preseason, we start seeing what these teams are shaking out. I'll be doing a little bit more, and I'll be dropping my futures picks. Last year was pretty good. We had C.J. Stroud at 10-1 to win Rookie of the Year. We had Christian McCaffrey at, I want to say it was 13-1 to win Offensive Player of the Year. And we had Lamar Jackson at 16-1 to win the league MVP. So they all worked out, even with deducting the losses from the other picks that, had you played every single one. We still ended up with, I think, around 22 or 23 units just off of those preseason predictions. And again, we'll be doing the win totals and obviously the Super Bowl prediction, which normally I don't really lock that in until closer to the kickoff of the regular season because, again, injuries play a big part in it. And I don't like to give out a bunch of different picks for the Super Bowl winner. I want to pick one team, and I'm going to stick with it unless something happens throughout the season, and then I'll let, obviously, all the viewers know, everybody know if I change my pick. But like last year, I had the Los Angeles Chargers, and as bad as they were, they had like 8 losses by 1 score, where they could have, would have flipped a coin. Most of the time, had they been able to hold on to a lead in the fourth quarter, they could have potentially been a playoff team. But, you live and you learn. I had a lot riding on the Chargers last year. I really thought they were going to be really good. Okay, here we go. We've got, who is this? This is Mike Tirico, and he is giving out the
4 times here along the way, not just Sunday night,
Primetime
but
games.
also we'll see them on a Saturday late in the season when they play Houston. So that's one part. And then, this sounds silly, Rich, but like one game that jumps out right away is week 2. Caleb Williams already named the starter for the Bears. At Houston, C.J. Stroud, and what the Texans did last year, the Offensive Rookie of the Year. The Bears hope that Caleb is their C.J. Regarding Houston. So that's going to be a fun matchup to see right away. But look down that side pylon that you guys have. I guess it's over here. Got to figure out which way.
No, it's the other way. The other way. No,
I was right. I was right the first
nice
time.
try. You were right the first time. Yes, sir.
Dallas and Pittsburgh just sounds like a great Sunday night matchup, right? Dallas at San Francisco later on in the year. Philadelphia going to SoFi right across the street from you playing the Rams. So a bunch of big teams on the schedule. And I think it's interesting too, Rich, when you see Houston on there a couple of times, Detroit on there a couple of times. That's the beauty of where this league is right now. You would not have said on the schedule release show last year, hey, we're going to see the Lions with a multiple primetime game and the Texans. And here they are. That's the way this league turns so quickly if you get the right pieces in place those teams have. So we're looking forward to see if they can all back it up now.
Yeah, Detroit and Houston getting their second Sunday night game against each other. And that is
right.
It is a testament to obviously how they're building their rosters and their staffs as well. And the Thanksgiving night game as well, Dolphins in Green Bay. So Thanksgiving night in Lambeau.
That'll be special too, right? Anytime you get to go to Lambeau is a treat. And we talked about what we saw last year as Jordan Love and the Packers really hit the ground running. We were there in November or early December against Kansas City. And that was the game that started their just run to the postseason and then the playoff victory that they had as well. So to have Green Bay there, and then we'll see them a few weeks later out with the 12s making noise in Seattle against the Seahawks. Those will be a couple of good games. But that stretch, Rich, also.
It's one of the football stadiums I've always wanted to go to. I've
Rams,
never been to
the
Lambeau.
Green Bay-Miami game slots in there on Thanksgiving night.
I
and
want
then
to
we
go
go
to some
from
of the classic
Lambeau to
ones. Like I've been
Buffalo,
to
and the
Chicago.
49ers coming east on a Sunday night. What
some
a
of the
3-game
older
run
ones.
in 8 days that'll be. So those couple of
Raymond
stretches we
James,
have
few
during
other
the
ones I
season.
can't think of right
Just
now,
stick
but,
out there. You see Pittsburgh
Arizona,
too. We're gonna have the Steelers
the
twice in
Raiders
3 weeks,
are
taking on the
one in Allegiant
Cowboys.
Stadium.
That
But
legendary
yeah, never been to
matchup of
Lambeau.
two
Really want to go.
mega
Obviously, with all the
super
history and
franchises,
the Packers
and then
Hall
the
of Fame right
Jets
there and everything.
and Aaron
And being
going
right
to
on
Pittsburgh as
Thanksgiving,
well.
man, I might
So
have to.
fun little
Might
stretches
have
of
to
the
think about
season. You
that one.
start to look at those pockets, and then you sit here, Rich, and you go, the whole dang thing looks pretty good.
It sure
I
does.
can't wait to get it going.
It sure does. You got Jim Harbaugh's first visit to Arrowhead as well with the Chargers, and it's going to be cold. You know, Jim's going to be out there wanting to start running the football in Kansas City. It's going to be fantastic. That's going to be fun. And before I let you go, Mike, I need an honest answer to this question. You're always honest when I ask you direct questions.
Yes, Rich.
When you mentioned
Yes, Rich.
Chiefs, you got the Chiefs on opening night. You have them 2 other times at least scheduled right now. Who knows about flexing in? Have you looked at the New Eras Tour schedule to see if any of these games match up appropriately with potentially a domestic appearance by Taylor Swift on any of these nights? Mike, have you done this? Have you looked at it?
I have not yet, but I will point out that the swag surfing game was the playoff game. We were there.
Yep.
The game in New York was Taylor's first road game. So I
just
think
finished
she
up
was
eating.
following me, Chris,
Had
and
the
Melissa.
traditional
So I'm
buffalo
sure she's
wings
going to be
with some Cajun
at
fries
a
for
couple of these games along the way, whether the
commemorate
concert tour
our
syncs up
official
or
start
just
for me
to be
anyway
around
of
the
the
Sunday night
NFL
football
season.
team.
Well, two of my 3
I watched
children are
the draft.
Swifties. They're happy to be your
But I'm
interns,
not a
Mike,
huge-
for this research.
Let's
If
go.
I
you-
wouldn't
if
say I'm
you
a
need
huge
that,
college
you know,
football
we're there
fan. I
for you.
like it. I
We're
watch
there
it.
for you.
We're
I
all
don't-
Swifties, aren't we?
You know, I'm not
You're not
religiously
wrong.
into it like some other
Hey,
people
listen,
are. They know all
have
the
a good
coaches and the
Preakness
players and all that stuff. I
in
don't really know
Baltimore,
it
where
that
you're
well.
zooming in from.
But I do watch it,
And
obviously,
look forward
because
to hearing you and Chris
eventually has to
and
do
the
with
crew
the
on
NFL,
Sunday
but
nights. And, of course, 113
I didn't really
days
bet
from
on the
now
draft. I didn't have
in Arrowhead.
You
much
got it, pal.
time
Look forward to it.
invested
Good to see
in
you.
it,
The great
so
Mike
I didn't
Tirico
give
right
out any
here
picks or
on
create
the
any
NFL
stream or anything
schedule
like
release
that.
show
But now for
presented
me, this is
by
the official start of
Verizon.
the
The
NFL
Christmas
season.
games on
Coming out of
Netflix,
hibernation,
everybody.
you know,
Chiefs, Steelers,
and
1 Eastern time. And then open up the
Christmas
Shouldn't
Day.
they require Andy Reid to
Kansas
actually
City
coach in a
Chiefs
Santa
at
outfit
the
during that game?
Steelers.
Ravens at Texans as well.
Ooh, so
on
we've got
Netflix. Take it
Mahomes
away,
against potentially
Hollywood.
Russell
All
Wilson
right,
or
thank
Justin.
you. Yeah, you know, we're doing all sorts
Fields,
of
and
countdowns,
then we've
224
got,
days
Lamar
until these
Jackson
Christmas
against CJ
games,
Stroud.
and
Wow.
we will
Be a
have
great
birth
Christmas
a
day,
new
too.
network partner.
You know, I
in
love
Netflix,
those.
so we're having a
the
baby.
Christmas Day
Congratulations!
games.
This
Like,
is
I know they
amazing.
didn't
It's
do it for a
twins.
long
It's a
time
double
because they didn't
header.
want to step on
As
the
you
toes
just
of the
heard
NBA,
from
but you
Rich,
know what?
last year MJD
People
dressed
have
as
multiple
Santa
screens.
on
They
the
watch
show.
multiple games.
Now he's
so.
just bringing the gift of his presence,
love
and that's great. That is enough. You are enough. We all are enough. And I want to know about these two games that we're going to see. Let's start with this first one here. Chiefs Steelers. We saw what happened with the Chiefs last year on Christmas. What do you think about this matchup this
Well, I believe this. The Steelers have went out and really revamped this offense and this defense, both through the draft and free agency. And I love what they're doing. They're bringing a physicality, especially when it gets cold. Right, we were in Pittsburgh a couple years ago. It was -12.
Oh my
and you got to be able to run the ball, but
Feel my fingers.
exactly.
Days.
And so what they're doing, going to Pittsburgh, having that advantage, having Russell Wilson be there, who's already beaten the Chiefs,
Got
you're going to
the,
have a confidence. I think you're going to see a lot. You'll see a more explosive offense, more
Celtics
explosive
and
plays.
Cavs
But
playoff
at the
game
end of
over
the day,
here
man, it's
on
Patrick Mahomes and them.
Sirius
Right? And
XM.
the last time,
playing
if I'm correct, the
low, so
last
you
time they
can't
played
hear,
the
but it's got
Steelers was a
score.
playoff game. And it was in
It
the
was a
cold.
pretty tight game.
And I
Now
think they
it's
ran him out of the building. It was big. Ben Roethlisberger's
59.
last game.
I want to see this.
It's tough to see it any other way.
Mahomes has never lost to the Steelers.
He hasn't lost to a lot of people.
That's a real fact right there. Oh my
It is.
goodness, he's
It
never
is.
lost to the Steelers. He
Interesting.
could possibly lose this year,
say
though.
the least.
My biggest question in that game, though, honestly, and I know we're gonna talk about it all season.
But basketball's.
I believe Justin
It's one
Fields
of
could
those
be the
games of
quarterback by
ebbs and
Christmas.
flows, man.
Oh,
It's a
in
perfect game
Pittsburgh.
for
I mean,
someone
really?
who's
I can't believe
live
you said
sports
that.
better.
Well,
Who
that's
know,
your
it's
former
great.
team.
puts the time in.
That's my former
Because
team.
you'll
I
have,
think Russell's
spreads
awesome, but
of,
I mean,
3,
if
4,
I'm
5
looking at both
points.
of those guys,
Before the
think
game
Justin
starts,
Fields
and then,
is a more
there'll be a
explosive
point in
version
the
of him.
game
Okay,
where
Okay, we have a
teams will
whole
get
off
down
season
like
to talk
15,
about it. We got
20 points,
training
and you can
camp and
grab,
everything. I want to talk about
you know,
the
a
second
much
game
better
coming up because we
number
have Ravens, Texans, a playoff matchup.
that
Actually,
that
all
type of
4
team
of the
is-
teams that are
that
playing on
team in
Christmas are
particular is,
playoff teams from last year. But
one of
this
those
one a
ones
rematch
that,
from the
you know,
divisional round, Emrah.
Yeah, a
gets
rematch
down
from the
and
divisional
comes
round.
back.
The Baltimore Ravens just went out there
for me, it
and
was
did
just
what they
too
were supposed to
stressful.
do in the
That's why I don't
divisional
bet
round. But
basketball anymore.
whenever I talk about Baltimore before this season starts, it's going to start with running the football, be who you hard top, Mark, and I know last year was about developing that passing game with Lamar Jackson and all of those things, but when you're clearly the best team, run the football. And then for C.J. Stroud, this could be his MVP game.
MVP?
If he comes out, seriously, if he comes out, beats Lamar Jackson and does it in a convincing nature and does it and do it like we saw him play last
What do
year,
we got going on here?
that could be in front of a national audience. That could be his MVP moment, and I look forward to seeing C.J. Stroud ball out.
They had him in that playoff game
Houston.
in that first half.
Remember
it was
last
tied
year?
at halftime,
Two halves.
10-10, and
Houston.
then man, the Ravens just cruised Lamar Jackson with those 3 touchdowns. So last year, the Ravens, they ruined Christmas for a ton
had all
of
those
Niners
games
fans. We'll try and do it to Texas fans this
they
holiday
started
season.
every game,
but we
I think,
gotta
last
wait
year,
to
at
actually
the,
see the games. Let's seize the
1
season.
o'clock start
Presented by
time,
Caesars
so,
Sportsbook. Here's a look
you
at
know,
the conference champion.
They didn't
odds
have to
according
adjust their
in
schedule
the
at all.
AFC, we
as
have
far
3
as their
teams we'll
internal
see on
clock's
Christmas that
concerned.
have the
Rams
best
at?
odds. Sorry.
Conference
Come to the AFC
championship
with the
is
Chiefs
some
leading
odds
away,
here.
and then
What
in
do
the
we got?
NFC, there you go. The Niners are the favorite to repeat or
Conference
to represent
championship,
the
AFC,
NFC.
Chiefs
Where's
in
the
the head.
Jags?
I didn't
Then
miss.
Where the Jags
Baltimore,
at?
Buffalo,
sorry,
Bengals,
people at
Titans,
Caesars Sportsbook, okay?
Yeah, Caesars
Trevor
Sportsbook.
Lawrence
and
got to
on the
start
other
balling
side,
off of that money.
49ers are
Where's he
first,
up for
Detroit
contract?
And,
second,
and that bag is
Philly.
getting big.
Hey, guess what?
Where's the Jags at?
On
Cowboys,
schedule
Packers.
release 24,
This is
presented
gonna be a tough
by
Keep us
division
in
to win.
line, Colleen. You know we go all over the place.
Aaron Rodgers returns to Monday Night Football in his first
Yeah,
game
those
from
are some
rupturing his
interesting
Achilles
odds.
on Monday night in week
I
1
don't know.
last year. So we're going to dig into that game a little bit coming up next.
And they still beat my pick.
Where's the
I
Jags
can't believe
at?
that.
But
That's
where are
right.
the Jags at?
I don't know. You have to understand, like, teams last year, I had predicted that the Detroit Lions were going to win the division and make the playoffs. Actually, the year prior, on one of my other shows, because I saw it coming. But the real reason why is because when you're a losing team, you typically end up with a weaker schedule. And so when you're a team that's on the rise, like Detroit is, you know, they're gonna benefit from playing a much weaker schedule. Remember last year, their secondary was atrocious. Like, they gave up so many points and had to play in shootouts. And honestly, it was their lack of quality secondary in the AFC or in the NFC Championship game that cost them that game. They were winning before, you know, Brock Purdy and the 49ers started making ridiculous plays, abusing the weak Lions secondary. But so yeah, we're in commercial break right now. Who else? What else do we have going on here? See what we got in the old. Yes, what are they down? Well, 6 points. Cleveland starting to come back. They were down by what, 11? Now they're down by 6. Again, basketball. You know, ebbs and flows, ebbs and flows. But yeah, you know, with these with the schedules they're bringing out, you know, they're dribbling it out there. It's hard to make predictions, but a few of the teams I have high expectations for. Obviously, Baltimore. I mean, I was pretty good supporter of Baltimore last year. I supported them all through the playoffs. They really burned me. I don't think I'll ever forget that Marquise Brown touchdown that wasn't, as he was diving across the line against the Chiefs, that got punched out. That would have gave me my prop for that game, and, you know, would have certainly helped the Ravens to potentially winning that game. But, you know, I'm still back on the Baltimore bandwagon. I love the fact that they made the addition of Derrick Henry. I think he's really going to be benefit to that team. But again, tough division. I predicted last year all 4 teams would have winning records. All 4 teams had winning records. You know, you've got Cleveland with Deshaun Watson and Myles Garrett and everything they've got building out there. Obviously, the Bengals, you know, are replacing some pieces, but they've been successful. Same thing with Pittsburgh. I mean, they still had a winning record, but now they've got a new quarterback, got some other pieces. They let some guys go, brought some other guys in. So there's not going to be any cakewalk for the Ravens for sure. You know, having to play all 3 of those teams twice throughout the year. But I still like them because, you know, as tough as a schedule as they're going to have, they beat up on the bad teams. And, you know, they're going to at least have a couple of those games where they're going to get to, you know, face mediocre teams that are not true playoff bound potential. So I like the Ravens. You can never go wrong with backing Kansas City as long as they have Patrick Mahomes. They always have a chance, but they're going to have one of the hardest schedules. I mean, they've already got the potential to be 0-2 after the first 2 weeks of the season, which is always a difficult hole to dig out of. But who else in the AFC? Obviously, I don't really think anybody will come out of the South. I predicted the Titans to have 7 wins last year. They obviously had more than that. But if you go back and watch, there were a couple of games that were won in the last seconds that could have very easily flipped the other way. And now, again, Houston benefited from, I believe, every single one of their games starting in the 1 o'clock window last year. That's not happening this year. They've got a bunch of primetime games. They're going to have to play under the lights in the standalone games, and we're going to see how they did. But they did go out and they really made some moves to strengthen their team, so they could certainly be pretty good. Obviously, the Colts, if they get Richardson back, what do we expect from them? The Jags are, as long as they've got Doug Peterson as their head coach, it's hard for me to put a lot of faith in them. And then the Titans, I really think they could actually be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year, at least record-wise. They're in that situation where they're essentially transferring over from the Vrabel era into the new coach's era, and they're going to be bringing in the pieces that they need, building an identity, and I don't think that's going to really translate into a lot of victories for the Tennessee Titans. So I could certainly see them having the worst record in the league. But I do expect the Houston Texans to win this division. Now, as far as the AFC North division, I already did the AFC North. The AFC East division, you've got Buffalo, Miami, New England, and who's the other one? Buffalo, New England, Miami, and the Jets. So, obviously, Aaron Rodgers coming back for the Jets. If that offense can at least put up some points and the defense can still be opportunistic and stingy as they were last year, they've got real potential. Obviously, the Miami with all their talent, you can't, ever count them out with their explosive offense. If their defense can, not give up points so easily, they've definitely got an opportunity to win. Obviously, Buffalo in a kind of a rebuild stage. They've lost a lot of their key players who kind of aged out. They had their window of opportunity with Buffalo, and they just weren't able to get over the hump. They kept running into these elite AFC teams like the Kansas Cities and the Cincinnatis, and so they're kind of in limbo. And Josh Allen, is he going to regress? Is he going to progress? Is he going to continue to be the turnover machine? As good as he is, you still have to protect the ball. And then New England, I don't expect a lot from New England this year. They're obviously in a rebuild stage. New head coach, new quarterback, all new pieces. We don't know what to expect from this coach. He is a Bill Belichick disciple. He coached on the Belichick staff. So I don't think there'll be a lot of dramatic changes. But again, it's a tough league, and I don't know if Drake May is going to be the quarterback to lead them to a division title. So out of the three, I honestly think the best chance to win the division will be the Jets. And again, that's because they had a bad record last year, so they're going to have a weak schedule. Miami made the playoffs. Buffalo made the playoffs. You know what I mean? So they're going to have stronger schedules, and they could end up cannibalizing each other, and giving each other losses that count against them at the end of the year. So I would certainly go with the Jets for the AFC East, and then I did the AFC West, right? No, the AFC West. What do we expect from Harbaugh? I actually think that's going to be a good thing for that team. They might have a much more better identity as a football unit. Can't count out Kansas City. The Raiders, I don't expect a whole lot from them. And in Denver, who knows? If Bo Nix turns out to be a halfway decent quarterback and Sean Payton can implement the offense that he, ran so well in places like New England, they've got an opportunity to maybe make the playoffs. They may not win the division, but they could potentially make the wild card. But honestly, out of the 4 teams, it's hard to go against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, right? But they've also got such a tough schedule. And you have to think at some point, even Tom Brady, I mean, even in New England, they won what? They won the Super Bowl in 2001, won it in 03 and 04. In 2002, they didn't even make the playoffs. They won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. In the 4th year, they didn't even make the playoffs. So, it just goes to show you that when you have a successful team, the schedule makers end up giving you a much harder schedule. So I really think Kansas City could have a tough time repeating as the division champion. So I'm going to go with early prediction. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I'm going to go right back to the fucking well that, I almost drowned in last year with all the fucking futures I had tied up in the Chargers that just went kaputs. But so what do we got going on here now? We're still talking. They're still talking. They're not really. They're not really showing any of the new the new schedules yet. Yeah, so be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and be sure to join me throughout the season for sure, and join me leading up to the start of the season. As like I said, I'll be doing a show each week. Once we get into the regular season, I'll be coming to you more often. I'll be definitely coming on Thursday. I'll probably do a live show on Sunday night and Monday night, and I'll also do a late pick show maybe on Saturday afternoon. We'll see. And also a recap on Monday of the week's picks for the Circa Millions. But yeah, we're still waiting on them. Still waiting on them.
In St. Louis on the Cardinals with Chip Carey. They've dragged me back in.
You're like Godfather Part 3, Joe Buck.
Yeah.
All right, we'll chat tomorrow, and thanks for joining us here today. That's it. That's all, folks.
Okay.
Take care, bud. That is the great Joe Buck. 3 games in London, 1 in Munich, all on NFL Network. And then we've got a triple header coming your way in Week 17 as well. That's how we're rolling with our schedule as we roll on with the schedule release show. I don't know if you're aware, but the Cowboys are all in on this season. We will discuss the Dallas Cowboys schedule as well as what we're expecting from CBS as well. Jim Nantz will join us. Al Michaels will join us. Don't go anywhere. We're in hour 1 of 3 of the schedule release show.
USAA? You were in the military?
No, my grandpa was. He passed membership to my mom, then me.
Huh.
Yeah, if your spouse, parent, or grandparent served, they could pass it to you.
I'll check it out.
USAA, for the military community and their families.
Yeah, I don't know why I counted that. I don't know why I counted that Buffalo-Miami game as a international game. It's not. It's a Thursday night game. It's a Thursday night game, but it's still at Hard Rock Stadium. So, okay. So I remember the 51.5 Hard Rock Stadium, week 2, middle of September. I mean, it's gonna be hot. And I remember last year Buffalo losing at Miami. In the last second when they tried to spike the ball to kill the clock, but they couldn't. They ran out of time, and they were all exhausted from the way the Miami Stadium's built. It puts the visiting team right in the sun for the entire game. September, it's going to be warm in Miami, so but I also think there's going to be a little bit of a revenge on the mind of the Buffalo players who were on that team last year, because they really had a chance to win that game. They just ran out of time, and they were exhausted from, being in that hot, baking Miami sun. As somebody who grew up in Florida, even though I was in Central Florida, I know what it's like, and it can be brutal, especially if it's humid. And week 2, they're not fully conditioned into the season. They've been working their butts off in the preseason and training camp and all that stuff. And now they got to go down to steamy, hot Miami. Playing in that game, that's interesting. 51.5. I was on the under. I would probably still stick with the under, but Miami might win this game. I really think they might win this game. You know, if they can exhaust the Buffalo defenders by just running them all day long like a track meet where they've got to follow guys like Waddle and Hill and all those guys, 40, 50 yards every play, they're not going to last into the fourth quarter. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep an eye on this one. I hope the total goes up. Again, yeah, I would definitely take the under. I just think it's gonna be a slow starting game. But all right, still on a commercial. What else we got here? Yeah, the London. No, so this was right. London games, 3 of them. And then the Giants and Packers and Eagles in Sao Paulo, which is, I believe, what do we got here? That's not on there. I think it's week 2 or week 1, Packers and Eagles. Yeah, that's interesting. Wonder what the elevation's like in Sao Paulo. If it's anything like Mexico City, where when the teams go there, they have to get. It's like going to Denver. It's high elevation. It's like here where I'm at. I'm at right now where I live is 6,500 feet above sea level. So it's funny when tourists come here. And they're all out of breath. They don't understand why they're so tired. And they're just walking around and stuff. And like why they get tired so easily. And it's like you have to get acclimated to the oxygen, the thinner oxygen up here. It takes a little bit of time. I know I had to adjust to it when I first moved here, but now I'm used to it. So yeah, it's I'll have to check into that Brazil game. But it's Brazil's like right on the ocean. They always show like pictures of the beach and everything. So I mean, if you're right on the ocean, can't be that high above sea level. I guess it's all dependent on where they built the stadium. Because you could go on the other side of the mountain range from where I'm at right now, down into Carson City, and that's like 4,200 feet above sea level. It's insane how much it goes up when you when you go up into the Sierra Nevada mountains. But what do we got going on the show now? Is there anything? Are they showing anything yet? Or are they still? What do we got? Oh, they got a countdown going on.
Gerard Mayo win as many this year.
I want to say yes, but no.
The Niners won 12 games last season, Mike Robb. Will they win at least 12 of them this year?
No.
MJD, the Chiefs would have won at least 12 in 5 of the 6 seasons with Mahomes. What about this season?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
And we got time to spare. Yeah,
listen, we're in mid-season form.
Yeah, we're rolling.
It's like riding a bike. Here, don't leave me. All right. I don't know if you're aware, but we're doing all the European games.
Oh,
here we go.
We may be missing one, Rich, but we'll talk about it.
What do you mean?
Fourth quarter in Boston.
No. We'll
Celtics are winning 88-83 over the Cavs right now.
About it. There's
Tight
only 4
game.
games
Cavaliers are fighting. I believe this is I want to say this is an elimination game.
We'll talk about it. Super tease.
What are you going to
Cavs are giving it all they got.
Game and
They
your
pull it out.
Maybe, Rich. Maybe.
He does have connections, Rich.
My goodness.
I know you, and you know people.
Hey,
true. That's true, Rich.
Poland better have its head on a swivel. MJD's coming with his football. What?
I'm telling you.
Icy hot. Ice works fast. Heat makes it last. Feel the power of contrast therapy. So you can rise from pain. Icy hot.
USAA.
We're in a commercial break right now. Still waiting on them. I didn't realize it was a 3-hour show. I thought it was only 2 hours. I would have started later on if I would have known it was going to be this long, because they're just gonna talk about all the games they've already announced. They haven't actually put out any full schedules yet. We're already starting to see some lines coming in, though, which is good. So we've got lines for every game week 1 already. Week 1, what are we seeing? Pittsburgh at Atlanta. We've got the Kirk Cousins going up against Russell Wilson, and that's trying to be an interesting game. Jacksonville's traveling down to Miami. Minnesota and New York, Tennessee and Chicago, Carolina, New Orleans, Washington, Tampa Bay, Arizona at Buffalo, week 1. New England at the Bengals. We get to see Drake May going up against that defense in a hostile environment. It's +8. New England's getting 8 points right now. And the total's only 43. They are not expecting a whole lot out of the New England offense, I can tell you that much. Houston, Indy, that's going to be a great game. Hopefully Richardson's back healthy and ready to go. Obviously Stroud. I want to see Tank Dell as well. Keep your ass out of the streets. Nothing good happens after 12 o'clock. And I know where you were at. You were in over there in Central Florida, near Orlando, hanging out in the projects, because I know exactly where you were hanging out, because I used to live in Florida. Just keep your ass out of the street. Nothing good happens after 12 a.m. Or, 12 o'clock at night, Tank Dell. You're a professional football player. Do better. I know you're young, having fun, but, what is it? Lil Bootsy, I believe, said, that it's the people in your hometown that want to get you the most because they're the most jealous. They're the most envious about your success. So, yeah, be careful going back to those tough neighborhoods back there in Central Florida. That's going to be a great game. Houston at Indy. Loud. Going to be loud. Ooh, Denver and Seattle. Good game. Los Angeles Rams against the Detroit Lions. Rematch of last year's playoff game. Jared Goff, again, gets to go up against his old team. Matt Stafford, his old team. That's going to be a good one. And then we get New York Jets on Monday Night Football against San Francisco. The Jets and Aaron Rodgers going out there to the West Coast, Northern California, where Aaron's from, taking on, I want to say, Salah's old team, right? Yeah, as the head defensive coordinator. So definitely some great games in week 1. Week 2, they're only showing 2 games so far. We've only got week 1 spreads. But yeah, we can go down the line. We've already gotten Baltimore and Kansas City 2.5. Green Bay's sitting at 1. The Falcons are -3 at home against Pittsburgh. That's an interesting one. You know how Mike Tomlin is. When he's a road dog, you want to be on Mike Tomlin's bandwagon. Jacksonville, Miami. Miami's getting 4 points at home, and the total's 49.5. Another one of those games going to be played where the other team, Jags, they're from North Florida, but they've got to sit out there in that blazing hot Miami sun in the stadium, so that could be a tough matchup for them. Minnesota, New York, -1, essentially a pick 'em. Titans and Bears. The books are looking at the Bears with a little bit of favoritism because they're -4.5. Against this Tennessee Titans team. Obviously, I talked about that they're in super rebuild mode. I don't expect a lot out of them. And Chicago was a good team last year. They had 7 wins with a quarterback and an offense that couldn't really score. So hopefully we get Caleb Williams, turns out to be the prospect that everybody hopes he is and helps lead the Bears to victory. But I think they got a good chance to win this game. Whether or not they'll cover the 4.5, that's a whole nother story. That's kind of tough. I would prefer the I know I say if I like the winner, don't worry about the spread, but it's one of those games where I like the Bears to win, but I think the Titans could do the old backdoor cover and get it within 3, maybe even within 4, and you get bit by the hook. Carolina, New Orleans, opened up at 39.5. They are not, and Carolina is one of those teams. I think they had the worst record last year. Not a lot of expectations out of them. Saints, who the hell knows what's going to happen with them? They've got so many aging players on their team. Guys that are like one wrong move away from a season ender because of the age and the wear and tear they've got on their body. So I'm not really expecting a whole lot from New Orleans. But in this game against the Carolina Panthers, they're -4.5. going to be a tough environment, obviously, with Young at quarterback. It's his second year, so let's hope that he takes some steps forward and gets a little bit better. Last year, they didn't have a lot of. They were. It's like a mix and match team. So, hopefully this year they put together a little better effort. I expect them to do all right, but again, the NFC South division is just weak all the way around, everywhere you go. Then you got Washington and Tampa Bay. Again, another NFC South team. Going up against Washington, new head coach and Dan Quinn had success with Atlanta. I think that had more to do with the offense than his defense, but was good with the Legion of Boom. Was good with the Cowboys. Obviously, when you have guys like Micah Parsons and the other players that they have on their defense, you expect them to play well. But, of course, the defensive coordinator, gets a lot of credit for that too. So we'll see how he does in Washington. But Washington's got some players now. They've got some guys on offense. They've got some football dudes. And Dan Quinn, I will say one thing about him that he is pretty good at is he's a player's coach, and he excuse me, he definitely gets the best out of them. The players want to play hard for him. They seem to like him. He's been liked in every situation that he's coached in. You didn't really ever hear any bad things about him in Seattle. You didn't hear any bad things about him from the Falcons players. You didn't hear any bad things about him from the Dallas players. So I expect him to have success in Carolina. It's just a matter of, in Washington. But, obviously they need a quarterback to play well, and their defense has got to get better. But that's why they brought in Quinn. So let's see what happens. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are -4. Obviously, they signed on Baker Mayfield to be their quarterback. They kept Mike Evans on a short-term deal to keep him as a Buck, which was smart. He's still got a lot of good plays in him. I like him a lot. He was on my fantasy team last year. I think he had a touchdown in like almost every game. It was crazy last year. He had like 13 or some shit. It was wild. But he was really good, particularly in fantasy. I expect him to play well. The defense, they lost a few players to free agency, but we'll see what happens. But again, no one in the NFC South jumps off the page and says, I'm going to win this division. It could honestly be just like it was last year, where it's going to come down to a team that may have a losing record or a 500 record, or whatever it is, 9-8, and wins the division. When there's other teams that have much better records that have to play a road game in the playoffs. But that's the nature of the game. It's hard to predict who's going to win that one. Arizona at Buffalo, Kyler Murray. New additions to the team. A lot of older players on the defensive side of the ball are gone. So let's see what we're going to get out of them. But they've got Arizona coming to their house. So that's a good thing. Because Arizona now, they've got to travel across the country and play in it's the early slot. So 10 a.m., and home, 1 o'clock in Buffalo. So that's going to be an interesting game. And like I said before, New England has taken on the Bengals in Cincinnati, and the New England's getting 8 points. And the total it opened at 39.5. It's now at 40.5. But they are not expecting a whole lot of high-scoring games from this New England Patriots team. I can tell you that much. We got a good division rivalry with the Raiders taking on the Chargers. A good AFC West divisional matchup. And then the Dallas-Cleveland game, we talked about that earlier. That's going to be a telling game of what direction both of these teams are going. We still have the story about Dak and his contract, and then obviously you've got Deshaun Watson and the injuries that he's had and his contract. So let's see who earns their money this year. Yeah, that's about it on the schedules. At least week 1. Who else we got here? Yeah, Indy's actually the dog at home at they're +1.5. So essentially, I would take the money line in that one if you were going to take Indy, but I like Houston in that game. Denver getting 4.5 points on the road against Seattle. Bo Nix obviously is probably going to be the starting quarterback. Sean Payton's trying to rebuild after having to tear everything down. Seattle had a pretty good team last year. See how Geno does. He's leading the team. They got their running backs. The defense is playing well, but obviously they got a new head coach too with Pete Carroll gone. So we'll have to see how that goes. But yes, Seattle -4.5 taking on the Broncos. The other AFC West matchup with the Raiders taking on the Chargers in Los Angeles. Chargers are -3. Harbaugh's first home game as head coach of the Chargers. So let's see how that unfolds. But again, they're predicting a close matchup. 3 points. Whenever you see 3, that's essentially the sports book saying we don't know. Detroit -3.5 at home against the Rams. No more Aaron Donald for the Rams. He retired. So, there's a lot of moving parts going on here. And the Lions spent a lot of money this offseason. They paid a lot of people. They paid Goff. They paid Brown. I think they paid Glasgow, their offensive lineman. Or it was one of their offensive linemen. But Penei Sewell maybe. But they spent some money on that team. And we'll see how it goes. Last year they had the benefit, the Lions did, of playing a weaker schedule. And they were able to either get out to big leads or they were able to score a lot of points to get themselves back in games. I don't know if they're going to have that same option this year. They're still going to be good. They've got a lot of good players on that team. But now everybody's going to be giving them their best shot. Nobody's going to take them for granted. And we'll see how that plays out for them. Let's see what we got here.
To just kind of step in
Is that because you're a Buffalo fan?
No, I want to see Stephon ball out. I want to see him do well. C.J. Stroud is a potential MVP in this league. I want to see him do well, but at the end of the day, man, he has to insert himself humbly. That way he can maximize his impact.
By the way, we have another social media team squishing things. Didn't we show one just in the first hour? It's the Chiefs were doing the squishing things, by the way, as well, the social media. This one is just a straightforward way to say week 2. It's the Chiefs taking on the Bengals on CBS. And the man who will be at the mic for that game, we say hello, friend, to Jim Nantz. How are you, Jim? Great to see you, sir.
Hello, friend. I'm a happy camper here tonight. I wait all year long for this.
I know you do. Love it.
I don't know why. We know the opponents, but for whatever reason, to see how the schedule falls, it's a big deal. Everybody at CBS is elated. We're happy. The 4:25 slate, the doubleheader national window is a big deal for us and our schedule.
I don't know. Is it working again? It seems like the microphone's working again. So something happened where the stream it lost connection. It said it was low data rate or something like that. I don't know. It might have had to do with me showing the computer screen, the live show. But still talking. A lot of celebrity hosts. Not a lot of revealing of the actual game yet. Yeah, they're talking to Jim Nance right now. Yeah, the AFC. The AFC is definitely much more stacked than the NFC. I mean, there's like about 10 teams in the AFC that I think could legitimately win the Super Bowl. Let's see, Kansas City, Baltimore. No, stop it. Damn it. Kansas City, Baltimore. Yeah, it's the thumbs up iOS shit. There's who? Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo, Miami, New York, Jets. I wouldn't count the Chargers out. Houston's got an opportunity. All right, so maybe like 6 or 7. But who in the NFC do you think can win the Super Bowl? I don't think Philly's going anywhere. Dallas, who knows? The NFC South is shit. NFC West is pretty good. You've got San Francisco. You've got Seattle. I don't know what to expect from Arizona. And then the Rams, again, another wild card team that could do something. And then who else? The North. You've got Detroit, Chicago. I don't think they can win a championship. I think they can make the playoffs. Minnesota, same thing. Yeah, I don't know. Green Bay. I think they were the beneficiary of a weak schedule last year to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to do that again. I don't know. I'm not convinced that Jordan Love is the next or the first great quarterback in Bears history. They've had a couple of guys like McMahon, but nobody that was really an elite level quarterback. But I think they're going to have some success. They've got a lot of good players around them. I mean, DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. They beefed up the offensive line. And he's much more of a polished passer than, say, Justin Fields was. Justin Fields benefited from playing with elite athletes in Ohio State and not having to be a true pocket passing quarterback. He was able to throw the ball to areas where the receivers, got 3-4 yards of separation on this guy. You don't get that in the NFL, that's for sure. So I think Williams, I don't know. I was kind of harsh on him in one of my articles that I wrote earlier in the year about not wanting to draft him first, but we'll see. It's all about the situation they go into, as far as are they gonna end up in a situation where they're expected to be the heir apparent, and the savior of the franchise in their first year, or are they going to give them opportunity to grow and become a successful quarterback. So you take a look at some of the guys that have had a lot of success. I mean, Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith. Lamar sat behind what's his name, Flacco. Tom Brady sat behind Drew Bledsoe for a season. So you see quarterbacks who come in and they're expected to be starters day one, supposed to know all the system, be leaders. They're just fresh out of college. Now they're working with grown men, guys with mortgages and wives and kids and all kinds of real life shit going on. And you've got this 20-something-year-old rookie trying to be the leader of the team, so it can be difficult, but we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. It's one of the things I love about football is we try to predict it. We look at the data, we look at the matchups, we look at the players, we look at everything you can possibly imagine. The news on field, off field, and yet at the end of the day, you're really just guessing. It's like it's truly unpredictable. You see something strange or something new every year. Maybe every week sometimes, where the way games end, the way teams perform, the type of plays they're running, play calling, execution, all of that. It's amazing. And you can go and watch or go look through the history of the NFL, and you'll see teams that are, they're on the razor's edge of winning and losing throughout the season, and then they just get to a point where they either turn it on and they go and win 8, 9 games in a row, or they go and lose 8, 9 games in a row. And it's just crazy, but I love it. I have pretty much made it exclusively about handicapping the NFL now with Dead Money Sports, just because I like it so much, and it's the other games are just, I don't know, it's just hard to predict the outcomes with baseball and basketball and hockey, because there's so many variables involved. I don't mind having to work hard for whatever it is, the 272 regular season games for the NFL. You're playing 162 in baseball and 81 or 82 in basketball and hockey, so it's an awful lot more. Okay, so now we're Buffalo, 3 road games away from home, weeks 4, weeks 5, and week 6. That'll definitely be a factor. Cynthia Freeland here is talking about it. She's got them at 10 wins on the year. But yeah, week 5, week 4, week 5, and week 6. 3 games away from Buffalo. Again, another 10 wins for the Dolphins by Cynthia. She's got them winning the division. Could certainly happen. I could see that. New England with 5 wins. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna take time for Drake May. Again, I don't worship. I don't worship at the altar of college football, but I do watch it. And I don't know. It just seemed like there was a lot of teams this year in the draft that were desperate. And because they're desperate for a quarterback, they drafted a quarterback, even though these quarterbacks may not turn out to be the, top draft pick worthy prospects that they believe they are, simply because they were drafting out of necessity, as to, like, say, drafting the best player available regardless of position. Okay, so we've got the Texans got the Colts, Bears, Vikings, Jags, Buffalo. That's a pretty tough schedule. Then New England, Green Bay, Colts again, Jets and Lions. Another tough week, tough 5 game. Then they go Dallas, Tennessee, Jacksonville. Then they get their bye week in week 14. And then they got to come off the bye, play Miami, play Kansas City, play Baltimore. Woof. That is a stretch. That is a stretch. Come off the bye, play the Dolphins, then you play the Chiefs, then you play the Ravens. Wow. They're going to be exhausted by the time they get to that Ravens game, week 17. And then they've got to play the Titans, a division game, week 18. Could certainly have some kind of implications for making the playoffs or playoff seeding. Yeah, look at what's his name, Maurice Jones-Drew here. He's got him losing to the Jags going. This is the Texans. He's got him losing to the Jags going into the bye, and then he's got him losing all 3 games coming out of the bye: the Miami, Chiefs, and Baltimore. And I could certainly see that happening, putting a damper on their season when they have the potential going into the bye. To potentially making a wild card or even winning the division. Back to commercial. Commercial. Turn that down a little bit. So, all right. We got 7 people in the chat. Like I said, I'll be coming to you once a week all through the off season, leading up into preseason. Once the preseason game starts, I'll certainly start doing the prediction show, which will be available on deadmoneysports.com early. It's free. You just gotta, sign up with your email address, so you can be a member. And then, I'll start releasing my preseason futures. I'll start releasing the win totals, and obviously my playoff and Super Bowl predictions. But I'll start dropping those in August, leading up to the beginning of the season, and then we'll go from there. And like I said, during the regular season, Circa lines come out on Thursday, so we'll be doing a Thursday line release live stream. Then on, I would say, probably Friday, maybe Saturday afternoon, we'll do a final prediction for the games. Maybe Friday night, depends on how things go. We might release the picks on Thursday. But then after that, we'll have the live watch show for the Sunday night football game. And then on Monday, we'll do the live stream of the Monday night football game, and we'll also recap the week's performance, what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like, how we did in the Circa, how we did in our picks, how we did with the props, how our futures are going, all of that and much more. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. You can also go on over to deadmoneysports.com and subscribe to the webpage, become a member, and get access to all of this stuff early compared to those who just watch them on the social media platforms like YouTube. But overall, from what I've seen so far, I have a hard time believing Kansas City's going to they're going to win the AFC West. There's a potential they can miss the playoffs this year. That's a hot take. That's a hot early take. That is a steamer. Blazing, scorching hot. The Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning, I'm pretty sure back-to-back Super Bowl champions, will miss the playoffs. I don't think it'll be due to injury. I just think that long-term success, you lose players. Obviously, few of their players, like Travis Kelce, are getting up there in age. You know, he's been in the league for quite some time now. He's over 30. He's in his mid 30s, so he's reaching the end of his time. We saw him miss some games last year due to injuries. And although I hate injuries. I don't want to see anybody hurt. I want to see the best players available. The reality is, it's a part of the game, and if any of these key players on Kansas City have to miss significant amount of time, it could certainly be a detriment to them actually making the playoffs. So we'll see. Again, like I said, that's a hot take. That's a hot one. What do we got go up? Detroit releasing their schedule release video on social media. It looked like it was animated. Now we've got the Seahawks guy playing Jenga. Black Friday game. November.
Call by the here on the schedule release.
I don't know why. Now it's back. Yeah, so I guess I can't do that again. It can't handle the live feed of the video. I guess it keeps crashing, so I'll leave it off and I'll just commentate about it. We're still waiting on full schedule releases. They're giving them out in dribs and drabs, and I'm looking on the Action Network page. Okay, we've got some more games here for week 2. We've got some lines for week 2. So let's take a look at some of them. We already talked about Buffalo, Miami, Thursday night, Amazon Prime game. That's basically a pick 'em. It's -1. It's down to 51. You have to shop around, but I still like the under in that game. Chargers going across the country to take on the Carolina Panthers. Only 5 points for the Panthers. I guess they're being cautious. We have Saints going into Saints going into Dallas to play the Cowboys. Cowboys are -4.5 at home. Las Vegas at Baltimore. Vegas getting a full touchdown. And we talked about Kansas City and Cincinnati. We already talked about that week 2, with it being between 4 and 4.5. -4.5 for the home team, defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. So they're bringing them out in dribs and drabs, little bit by little. And the sports books are posting the lines for every game as they come up. So keep an eye on it, keep watching it, but we've got a few more hours to go. An hour and a half at least to go before we get all of the games, all the regular season games. Yeah. So this is the first episode of the 2024-2025 or 2024-25 Dead Money Sports Gambling Parlor Live for the schedule release for the 2024 season. We've gotten some games so far, a few that I like, a few picks that I've already given out. But again, I am not one of these people who's going to go out there and place bets, months in advance. It's just not how I roll. But all right, we've got the week 1 Baltimore at Kansas City. That number's on the move, but Thursday night game. This is going to be awesome. I really like Baltimore in this situation. I do. Revenge factor. They played like shit in that game. It was such a weird game. Again, that Marquise Brown fumble on the goal line. That one will stick with me for a while because I was pretty heartbroken on that one. I had the prop I'd given out. It was part of my parlay. It was for Lamar Jackson, I believe, to throw for 2 touchdowns. And there was one other thing that I had that actually that leg of it cashed, but that second touchdown would have given me the win. It was a pick that I gave out on deadmoneysports.com. And you can follow me on Twitter or X. Same thing, Dead Money Sports. You can follow me on Instagram at Dead Money Sports, on Rumble at Dead Money Sports, Truth Social at Dead Money Sports. So I'm on any platform you use. I'm on there under Dead Money Sports, and I typically post pics on the social media platforms like X and Instagram with the artistic renderings or whatever you want to call it to go along with the pic. So be sure to subscribe on those channels as well. Because I give out stuff on all these other pages. I don't always include it all in the videos. I don't always put out a video for all the information that I give out. So if you're not subscribed to deadmoneysports.com, I would suggest doing that. It's free. All you got to do is give an email address so you can receive the blog or any postings or any videos that I release directly to your email. But again, still waiting on some of these full schedules to come out. We've looked through some of the games. There's week 1. Week 1, Green Bay at Philadelphia. Another Thursday night or Friday night game with the playoff teams of the Packers and Philadelphia. Obviously, this could be a key game down the line. Any type of tiebreaker situations. Obviously, you want to get off to a good start to start the season. And we'll have to see, the Philadelphia Eagles. They've lost Jason Kelsey as their center, basically the quarterback for the offensive line, tells everybody their assignments and knows everything in and out and was a hell of an offensive lineman. They lost him. And Green Bay, they're a young team with Jordan Love and their wide receiver core. So we'll see what Matt LaFleur can get out of this group. But they made the playoffs last year. So they're building, and we'll see. We'll see if they're going to be able to take the step. If you put a gun to my head next to me, who I was going to take, I would have to take. I'd have to take Philadelphia in this one, just because they're at home. I think that'd be enough, especially week 1. You know what I mean? That fan base they're rabid. They're salivating to get out there and to give Green Bay and Jordan Love and all those guys an earful. They'll be well lubricated. It's Friday night, no work Saturday. They'll be well lubricated. There'll be a lot of pints put back during that game, I'm sure. Week 2, again, we talked about this game with the Bengals and Kansas City -4. I mean, Kansas City just has such a tough schedule to start the season. I mean, from what I've seen so far, they've got to play at home against Baltimore, who they knocked out of the playoffs last year, who's, since the day they learned of this game, I'm sure they've got it up on the bulletin board. You know, that this is the game, this is the team that knocked us out of the playoffs last year. We need to be prepared. And then, right after playing a physical game, even though they're going to be on Thursday, so they'll get a little bit of extra rest, they've got to go again at home and play the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, being in Arrowhead, having that crowd behind them is usually a benefit. But we've seen the Bengals and Joe Burrow in particular have a lot of success in Arrowhead, even though they lost last time. Overall, his record is much better playing there. Wins than losses. I think he might be 6-1 or 5-1. So, great game. And there's a potential that the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions, start the season off 0-2. Baltimore, highly motivated. Cincinnati, highly motivated. And Joe Burrow back from that, whatever he had, the wrist injury or whatever it was. He had something go wrong with his arm. Remember that in the middle of the game, he left. Against Baltimore. Yeah. I can't wait to see what Kansas City's third game is and how many more primetime games they're going to have because, obviously they had the last season, they had the whole thing with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, so they were definitely milking that cow for every drop. They eventually they had to stop showing her just because so many people were sick of it. Like, all right, we get it. They're dating. She's at the game. There's been other celebrity, relationships. You're beating it to death. But they are the Kansas City Chiefs. They are the defending Super Bowl champions, and so the schedule makers, they want to put them on television because you're gonna watch the games. You're going to watch the games. No matter who's Kansas City's playing, whether you love them or hate them, you're going to watch them. And also when it comes to fantasy sports, obviously when you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, other players on the team are going to be on rosters. So everybody's going to watch the game. Fantasy sports really, it was built for these type of game like football, where you have these breaks in between the games as opposed to like baseball or basketball where it's essentially every night. It's cool too because in the state of Nevada where I live, I'm a resident of Nevada. I used to live in Las Vegas. Now I live in Lake Tahoe. I live maybe a 10-minute drive from the border of California. And so in Nevada, fantasy sports like DFS, FanDuel, and all that, DraftKings, is not legal. If you're in the state of Nevada, it won't work on your phone. Your geolocation rats you out, tells them that you're in Nevada, and so you're not allowed. But what I'm able to do is I can just drive across the border into California. I can prepay for whatever contests I want to enter, and I don't have to submit my lineup, and then I just drive back home. Or whatever, do whatever I'm doing and come back home. But as long as I'm across the border in California, I can prepay for any DFS entries that I want, and then I can set the lineups later on down the line. So it's really beneficial to live where I live. It wasn't the top priority, but it certainly was on my mind when I moved here, that would I be close enough to the California border in order to do that exact thing. And it just happened to work out that, where I live in Zephyr Cove is, like I said, 12 minutes, 15 minutes from the border of California. I typically go, there's a Starbucks right across the street in a place called Heavenly Village, which is part of the South Tahoe shopping district, and there's a gondola that takes you up the mountain for people to go snowboarding and skiing or just sightseeing. There's a restaurant up there. People go hiking, all that shit. You know what I mean? It's nice, beautiful up here. But I go there, go to the Starbucks, get something to eat or drink, and while I'm waiting in line, or even while I'm, after I get my drink, I go through the contest and I subscribe to the contest that I want to enter in. Post my lineups later. So I'm definitely getting into that more. I wasn't as much into it before, simply because in Las Vegas, I wasn't able to do that. It was a way farther drive. It was a couple hours to get to the border of California from from Las Vegas. And before that, like before the pandemic, when I was traveling for work, I wasn't always sure what state I was going to be into. And so the jurisdictions, accounts, money, blah, 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 it was a pain in the ass. So I really didn't bother with it. But now that I just happen to have this ideal location, because Nevada, they're not legalizing DFS in the state of Nevada anytime soon. It's failed multiple times. The sports books, casinos, whatever, or the operators of the fantasy sports websites say that it's a game of chance, and therefore it's not gambling. And the state of Nevada says no, it's gambling. And if you want to operate your gambling business in our state, you have to pay us the tax that casinos and sports books and everybody pay on their winnings from gambling. And so they're, it's all about money, but the state of Nevada and the fantasy sports providers, they're not coming to an agreement anytime soon. But again, that's what's nice about being able to go into California in just a couple of minutes, is that I can do that. But same thing, if I'm in the state of California and I try to log on to, my Caesars app or my Circa app or whatever sports betting app that I use, it tells me that I'm out of the jurisdiction and it won't work. It won't allow me to place a bet. Even if I'm standing on the other side, because there's a street, it's called State Line, which there's a town called State Line, and it splits Nevada and California. And when you're there, when you're standing on State Line, there's casinos, 4 of them, just on the Nevada side of the state line. And then right on the other side of the state line, there's a bunch of restaurants and shops and all that shit. So, there's people who are walking back and forth. And if you just cross over that street from Nevada to California, the geolocation on my phone won't recognize that I'm in the state of Nevada, and it won't allow me to place bets. I've actually been in that casino. It's called Harvey's, that is right on the corner, and standing in the casino in the state of Nevada, the geolocation tells me that I'm out of the state, that it won't work, and I have to walk to the far end where the parking garage is in order to get my phone to actually recognize that I'm in the state. Because I'll go down there sometimes and watch the games at the sports book they have in the casino, which none of them they're not very good. None of the casinos here in Lake Tahoe compare to even some of the bad ones back in Vegas that are not even on the strip, like off-strip casinos. Have nicer sports books and nicer casinos than the ones here in Lake Tahoe. It's kind of strange. You'd think with all the money that comes in and out of this place, they would have a lot nicer things. But a lot of people don't, they come here to party. They don't really come here to gamble so much. So it's more about the entertainment than it is the gambling. It's not like Las Vegas where people go there with the anticipation of gambling. There's a lot of other stuff going on here in Lake Tahoe, music events, golf events, the Edgewood Golf Course where they have the celebrity pro-am. Like last year, I want to say Steph Curry hit the hole-in-one, and I saw Pat McAfee's crew was there and everything. It's right around the corner. Basically, it's right on the state line of Nevada and California. It's right on the other side. If you were to walk down the shore of Lake Tahoe, you would walk from California, and as you walked into Nevada, you would be walking into the beachfront that's in front of that Edgewood Resort and Golf Course where they have the Pro-Am. So it's really nice. It's beautiful, but it's just weird living in a community that's divided by the state line and has so many different rules and regulations about what you can and can't do as far as gambling and sports betting and DFS and that kind of stuff. So remember that if you're ever thinking about moving somewhere, a state, whatever it is, if you're into that kind of stuff, make sure you check the laws, make sure you check the rules, because depending on what state you're in, you can or can't do certain things. Which I first moved to Las Vegas partially because I wanted to be able to bet on sports. At the time, it was the only place you could that was, fully operational. I think there was 3 other states that were grandfathered in but didn't actually have anything going on. Oregon, Maine, and somebody else. For Chris Christie's fat ass actually did something good and challenged them in the Supreme Court and got the ruling to allow other states to choose and have their citizens vote. It was pretty good. But still waiting. Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons. They're showing Kirk Cousins. What a strange situation that was with the draft. I mean, I don't mind Kirk Cousins being on that big-time deal with all that guaranteed cash. He was pretty durable, and he always rated in the top 10 of quarterbacks in yards and touchdowns. Like, people they don't really give him the credit he deserves, but he's actually been a top 10 quarterback most of his career. But with the offense, with the loaded team that the offense had in Atlanta, but the total lack of defense that they had, for them to take Michael Penix Jr., I mean, not knocking him, he's not a bad player at all, but why would you spend your first-round pick on a quarterback when they needed so many more things on the defensive side of the ball? I mean, and is Penix a project? Is he a guy that you expect to start after 2 years? I think they gave Cousins 3 years. Now, obviously, they gave him all that, I think, $100 million guaranteed, so that's whatever. He's got that. But they could potentially drop him after his second year. So are they planning on sitting Penix for 2 years and then having him be the guy? I mean, that could happen. But they needed a lot more stuff, like on defense. They were one of the worst teams at getting pressure and sacks on the quarterback. You'd think that they would have gone after some kind of a defensive player, but I guess, I don't know, we'll see how it all shakes out, I think the Falcons have a good shot at winning the division, though. If they can put together their offense, I mean, they've got the players. I mean, Drake London and Pitts and Bijan and, everybody else they've got on the team. Their offensive line was pretty decent last year. I mean, they were one of the better rated, I want to say one of the better rated running offensive lines. So we'll see how it goes in Atlanta, but it was just such a weird pick. And everybody talked about it. They've been talking about it. And, I agree with a lot of what people have said that, like, you want your first round pick to be someone who's going to contribute right out of the gate, especially when it was that high. I want to say they were in like the top 8, 7, somewhere around there, top 10 at least. So, shit. You're spending a high value draft pick on someone in the best case scenario, sits for 2 years, never sees the field. If that happens, Kirk Cousins is playing well, and the best case scenario is for Penix to sit on the bench for 2 to potentially 3 years. Man, I don't know about that. I also don't get paid, millions of dollars to make decisions about who to pick for a football team. So I guess we'll see how they do. Here we go. We got the strength of schedules up. Falcons, number 1. They've got the easiest schedule. So, I mean, there it is right there. If that offense can do their thing with Kirk Cousins, we know Kirk Cousins can play. It's the defense. But they're going up against Carolina, the Saints with Derek Carr or Winston. Either one of them can be a disaster at any moment. And then the Buccaneers with Baker. None of those guys, put the fear in you that you can't win those games. So they could potentially, win 4 out of the 6, maybe 5 out of the 6, and win the division. And then once you make the playoffs, all bets are off. And if they win the division, if they win the AFC South, they get a home game. They get to play a game at home. So, somebody's got to come to their house in Atlanta, and that place can get rocking. I've been there. I was there for the opening day against the Green Bay Packers. And that place was loud, super loud. They love it. It's like a nightclub in there, especially now. They love getting loud and, dancing around and just having a great time, enjoying the Sunday football. I could actually see Atlanta winning that division. But the Penix pick, I still don't get it. Again, best case scenario, the guy sits for 2 years, 3 years. Maybe he'll turn into, and he's a little bit older too. He's already up there in age because of his. I think he got the COVID year and he got a red shirt year because of I think he tore up his elbow or something. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I like a few of the other picks that some of these teams have made this year, though. A couple players I think are going to do pretty well this year. I really like Marvin Harrison. This draft was just loaded with wide receivers. There's just so many wide receivers that have potential to be really good. The kid out of Texas, I think it's Worthy. The one who ran like a 4.2 40. I mean, and then I think he went to the Kansas City Chiefs or somebody. It's like, they're gonna. This guy's got speed. You can't teach speed. You can't learn speed. Speed is something that comes to you naturally. You're gifted with it. So when you find that rare player who can hit those type of top speeds that no one else in the league can hang with, that the guy's going to be dangerous. I think he could have a really good season. Have a good decent career. We are still waiting for more. We still only got the 5 games for Wednesday showing up.
My confidence is at an all-time high. And Biz is trusted by the pros.
Can't wait to go through and watch the release videos. I always like it. The Chargers, the only thing I was kind of bummed about was that they did the same thing twice. They used the same like Japanese anime characters and style and everything in their video. I want to say 2 years in a row. I still liked it. I still think it was cool, a cool concept. But at the same time, I want to see them do something different. I forget who it was. I want to say it was the Tennessee Titans. They went down to Nashville. We're asking people, who are walking around, chilling down there in Nashville, what the logos were. And then these people had no clue. A couple of them looked like they had already, they already had a couple of cocktails. But that was another good one. That one made me laugh because some of the answers that people gave were just so ridiculous. A few other ones. I'm trying to think of the other ones that I liked. I know there was a bunch. It's hard to remember that far back. But yeah, I mean, a bunch of the teams really had some cool release schedules. But I wonder if there's any on X to see. Not seeing a lot yet.
Oh, we want this. See all the Milo's Rewards loyalty program. See here. Download the app to join, earn, and save today. My Lowe's Rewards credit card saves us 5% on the things we need. 5% off, 5% off, 5%.
And as loyalty members, you get points toward Milo's money for the things we want.
Oh, we want this. See all the Milo's Rewards loyalty program.
Here we go.
Download the app to join, earn, and save today.
Here we go. We got the strength of schedule list. So the Cleveland Browns, according to the schedule as it sits right now, has the hardest record, the most difficult path to the playoffs. Oop. And then it's Baltimore, Pittsburgh. I guess that's because all three teams were winners last year. They all had winning records last year, and now they have to play each other, because they're division. That's definitely going to make your path a lot more difficult. Like I said before, they could certainly cannibalize each other. Where each team goes 1-1, gives each other a loss, or they could lose them both. Houston ain't gonna have that lucky path like they had last year. All those one-score wins come from behind victories. Now you've got the fourth hardest strength of schedule. Then another playoff team, the Packers, Giants. They've got a tough schedule. Number 6, Buffalo, Jacksonville, Vegas. Patriots got a tough schedule. That's because they play in the AFC East. They've got to deal with Miami, Buffalo, and now the Jets, with hopefully Aaron Rodgers healthy for longer than a couple of plays. Detroit, they're number 11 strength of schedule because they play in the NFC North. And I don't know, what are they count now? The Vikings, Detroit, and who's the other one? You got Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago, and Green Bay. So they're not really giving Green Bay and Chicago enough. But I guess maybe they got an easier schedule against the AFC opponents in the other NFC division that they're going to play. And then maybe they play the South this year. I know they played them last year because I remember Detroit beating the Bucks when Bucks were wearing their creamsicle uniforms. 12th hardest schedule tied up is the Rams, 49ers, Cowboys, and Jets. So there you go. The Jets have the difficult schedule because they're playing in that AFC East division. Bengals in Washington, Minnesota, and the Kansas City Chiefs have the 16th rated strength of schedule. How's that possible? I mean, they've got 2 games right off the bat that are super difficult. Now I understand that the Chargers, the Broncos, and Vegas did not have very good seasons last year, and so they obviously have a much lower rating than they probably would. Still, for Kansas City to have the 16th ranked strength of schedule as a Super Bowl champion, and the first 2 games are certainly difficult. So what does that say about the other 15? Broncos are 20th. Then you've got the Colts, the Eagles, and the Titans all tied at 21. Arizona, Seahawks, Miami at 24. Tampa Bay, Chargers, Panthers, Chicago, and New Orleans, or Chicago is tied at 29th. And then you've got New Orleans and the Saints. So obviously strength of schedule, you've got the Falcons at 31, the Saints at 31, the Bucks at 27, and the Panthers at 29. So that tells you that they think every single team in the AFC South is going to be shit because they're all playing against each other. this season it's going to come right down to the wire, especially in the AFC. There's just too many good teams, too many good quarterbacks. So the bye weeks, they got the bye weeks posted here. Week 5, so the bye weeks start week 5. You've got Philadelphia, the Los Angeles Chargers, Detroit Lions, and the Tennessee Titans. First week, week 5, get their bye. So that means they've got to play the rest of the schedule with no time off. That's going to be brutal. Week 6, Chiefs, Rams, Dolphins, and Vikings all have the week off. Week 7, the Bears and the Cowboys. Week 9, the 49ers and the Steelers. So there's only 2 teams off on week 7 and week 9. And then week 10, you go back to 4. It's the Cleveland Browns, the Green Bay Packers, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Seattle Seahawks. That's good, to get your bye week later in the year, right around that week 10 mark, because you get the time to heal. Hopefully any players can make it back from their injuries, and you end up with an opportunity to have a full roster of healthy players to push towards the playoffs. Week 11, got the Arizona Cardinals, the Carolina Panthers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the New York Giants all have their bye week. And then week 12, you have 6 teams. I guess that's because, pushing towards the end, we're going to have the full slate of games so that everybody who's in it, in contention, the games really matter. You can't, dog it, I guess, because you don't want guys to get hurt. But week 12, you have the Atlanta Falcons, the Buffalo Bills, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the New Orleans Saints, and the New York Jets. That's week 12 bye weeks. And then the last week of byes, week 14, another 6 teams. You have the Baltimore Ravens. That's going to be good for them. If they play the way I feel like they're going to play this year, which I was big on them last year, they could be playing in the Super Bowl. But you have the Baltimore Ravens, the Denver Broncos, the Houston Texans, another team that could benefit from that. The Indianapolis Colts, another one. New England Patriots, and the Washington Commanders. So, there you have it. Bye weeks in week 5, week 6, week 7, week 9, week 10, week 11, week 12, and then week 14. And I imagine week 13 is going to fall somewhere around Thanksgiving, where they start having those Thanksgiving games, and then you've still got the Sunday games and the Monday night games. So 3 games on Thanksgiving, you know what I mean? So I imagine that's why week 13 there's no bye weeks, but those teams that get that bye late in the year, that tends to be a nice little bonus for them. Yeah, they're talking about teams going worst to first. Here we go. Super Bowl odds. 49ers are are right there tied with the Chiefs at plus 575. Then the Ravens at 900 plus 900. Lions plus 1300. Oh. I missed the end of it, but Boston won. Celtics beat the Cavs. So what is that? That should be it. I think that's all she wrote, right? Boston's moving on. Yeah, 4-1. Series is over. They're moving on, moving on, moving on. '49ers schedule's up. Week 17. San Francisco against the Lions. In San Francisco. Rematch from the game they blew last year. If you're one of my followers, if you were with me, riding with me last year during the playoffs, I apologize for that game, but I would love to know, because I gave out Detroit money line. It was plus 2 something, 225 I want to say, or plus 235. It was more than 200. I know that. And I actually had somebody question me, like, why not take the points? And I told them it's because I actually really thought Detroit was going to win that game just by how I had watched them play and how I had watched San Francisco play. I thought Brock Purdy was due for a letdown, and he kind of did, but got bailed out. So I would love to know, like, I know I lost, that's the bet, but do you feel like it was the wrong side to be on, the Detroit money line? Or should I have taken the points? Though I don't think the points would have mattered. I think Detroit ended up covering it because I don't think it was that many. But yeah, that sucked. It's going to be a good game, though. Detroit was fucking running the ball all over them. All over them in that playoff game. And then they got so lucky with like that Ayuk catched him. You know, the DB tried to catch it and didn't, and just popped it up in the air just enough for him to catch it, and a couple other plays that broke their way. I think there was the 4th down conversion that they didn't get, and yeah, that was a tough pill to swallow. If you were riding with me on that one, I apologize, but I mean, did you feel like that my analysis was wrong and I was just unlucky? Or, was my analysis wrong, or was I just unlucky? Because I just felt like I was unlucky. I mean, shit, they were winning like, what was it? That was like 28-10 or 28 to something. They were kicking their ass in the first half. It was a good game. And they just made too many mistakes. Same thing with the Super Bowl. With the Kansas City Chiefs and the 49ers both tied at the as a favorite to win the Super Bowl, I honestly don't think both of those teams could miss the playoffs. Legitimately, both of those teams could miss the playoffs. Because the Rams actually have a decent young core of players. They've somehow been able to get guys who are good enough to play, even though they like mortgaged away every draft pick they had. The Seahawks are going to be good. Arizona has the potential to be good. They've got good players if they could put it all together and stay healthy, and the coordinator can design an offense that allows Kyler Murray to do things that he does actually well. Yeah, San Francisco's got a tough path to make it back to the playoffs because they could lose the division and have to win a wild card. And I know that the NFC division is certainly weaker than the AFC. But the teams that are really good in the NFC are actually good, and they could compete, let's say, in the AFC division with all their great quarterbacks. I don't think the 49ers would do very well if they had to play away from home in the playoffs. That would be the big one. If they were a wild card and they have to play on the road, that could be bad for them. If they got an opportunity to play at home, they could win a game, get on a roll. That's if they even make the playoffs. I could certainly see the Seahawks winning the NFC West division. Geno Smith wasn't terrible last year, and I think their running game, what's his name? Number 3, their whatever, the third, the running back they drafted. I can't think of his name right now, but he was pretty good. Metcalf is obviously an animal. I mean, that dude is a physical freak. And the other players that they added, and how are they going to be with their first year coach is a question. How's Harbaugh going to do with the Chargers? You know, like there's a bunch of questions out west. How are the Rams going to do without Aaron Donald in their lineup for the first time in a long time? I'm showing Puka Nakua right now. Boy, was he a find for them. But that just shows you, you know, the scouting that the Rams organizations had to do because of the way they've traded away their draft picks over the last few seasons, mainly to win that one Super Bowl. Rams at the Lions, Sunday Night Football. That's going to be such a good game. Week 1. So we've got a rematch of Baltimore and Kansas City. And on Thursday Night Football, standalone game. And then we've also got Rams at Detroit, rematch of the playoff game last year. Sunday night, week 1. Be sure to join me. Subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can know when we're streaming on the during the game. We'll be definitely doing the gambling parlor live streams during the primetime games. Thursday night, Friday night when there are some, obviously Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Sunday night and Monday night games. Like I said, we'll do the recap on Monday along with the watch along. Thursday, we'll do the watch along, and we're also going to have the Circa release. The numbers, the lines get released on Thursday. I should have most of my games picked out by then, but I'll do the Saturday afternoon deadline live stream just to make sure that all the picks that I did maybe decided earlier in the week are the ones I'm sticking with, because who knows what can happen in the NFL even between Thursday and Sunday. I mean, they get hurt, they do dumb stuff off the field, you know, they get in trouble with the team and can't play, whatever it may be, you know. I mean, it is what it is, but there's just so many factors that come into play trying to predict the games you wanna choose on Thursday when you have all the way until Saturday afternoon. You know, you may want to make some adjustments. So, like I said, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified whenever these videos drop. Plan to be coming to you all season long with my Circle Millions picks. Last year did pretty well. I had I think it was a 55 or 56% winning percentage. So I had a winning record. I just didn't cash in the tournament. I have to look and see what that was. See what that was. Let me log in here real quick. And 55.7%. was what? 49, 39, and 2. I was, yeah, let me see if I can do this real quick. I couldn't handle it. I don't know. I had to go back through and re-log in. Staying streaming software connected, excellent. So, all right, I can't do that. But I had a I had a 55.7% winning percentage. And I want to say the first place person, where is it? He's down here somewhere. Yeah, the first place guy was 62.5% or 69.7%. I'm sorry. He had 62.5 points. He went 62, 27, and 1. Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. I was 49, 39, and 2. Still winning, but not much. And out of the 5,000 entries, I finished 978. So in the top 20%. But we'll see. This year I've got my strategy. Last year though, it was bad. One of the problems I had, I know I got the numbers here, was here we go. It's taking a second to load. But I want to say my thing that I really struggled with last year was the home teams, like home favorites, really didn't do well last year, and I did not do well with them. Like I was in a winning in all the other categories except for like home favorites, and it was just such a big drastic change that it really affected my overall total. Get some more to drink. Oh, the Dallas Colorado Avalanche took a 4-3 lead over Dallas in the third period. Playoff game. Playoff hockey. And Dallas and the Mavs are playing. Let me see that. OKC's been playing really well this year. In the playoffs, they could potentially knock Dallas out of the playoffs. So we're waiting on them. Waiting on them to completely release all the lines. Waiting for him to release all the schedules. It should be soon. I mean, it's 7:30, 8 o'clock, right? It looks like we've got everything on the NFL app. Week 2. Week 2. Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh at Denver. Russell Wilson going back to the scene of the crime where he robbed them people all that money. We already talked about the Kansas City game. And then Sunday night, Caleb Williams against CJ Stroud. Potential Offensive Rookie of the Year winner in Caleb Williams going up against last year's Offensive Rookie of the Year winner, CJ Stroud, who I gave out at, I want to say it was like 10.5 to 1. Somewhere around there. It's a nice win, though. Lamar Jackson winning the MVP was better. So was Christian McCaffrey winning Offensive Player of the Year. Be sure to subscribe to deadmoneysports.com or Dead Money Sports on YouTube. Monday night game, Falcons and Eagles. That was a rivalry for a couple of years there when the Falcons and the Eagles kept playing each other in like the NFC conference game or in divisional round of the playoffs or whatever. They had some great battles back then with Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Philadelphia Eagles. That'll be a good game. Monday night. Get to see Kirk Cousins leading his new team. Primetime. Be streaming that one. Here we go. Week 3. Week 3, we got the Jets and the Patriots on Thursday night. That's not bad. Caleb Williams again going up against Anthony Richardson. Hopefully he keeps himself healthy this year. What else we got going on here? Miami and Seattle. That might be a good game. It's in Seattle. Miami got to go all the way across the country playing in that loud stadium. Baltimore and Dallas. Good game. Afternoon, late start. Sunday. San Francisco at LA. Division game. Great. Then the Chiefs play the Falcons. So they got 2 really tough games to come right out of the gate. And then they got a week one against we'll see how it goes against the Falcons. Oh, and then the doubleheader. Week 3, Monday night. Jaguars at Bills. Commanders at Bengals. So those should be 2 pretty entertaining games. Doubleheader Monday night. Week 4, NFC East Division rivalry game. Thursday night football, Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants. I don't think the Giants are going to do much this year. They got some players, though. You never know. They could surprise some people. Kansas City at the Chargers, week 4. That's what I'm saying. They got a tough schedule. At LA against Harbaugh, new coach, his team. You've got New Orleans at Atlanta. Good divisional game. Could, have some playoff implications down the line. Week 4 already. Bills at Ravens on Sunday Night Football. That's going to be must-watch TV. Must-watch TV. If you've got Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen as your quarterback in fantasy or in a league or whatever, I would play him that week because I imagine those two quarterbacks are going to go off. Then another doubleheader on Monday night. Titans at the Dolphins. 4:30 on our side, or 4:30 in their side, right? Won't be too bad, the weather. And then you've got the Seahawks at the Lions. I like that game a lot. I do. I like that game a lot. I like that game a lot. It's going to be a litmus test for both teams and where they are. Are the Detroit Lions for real? Are they going to continue to be a contender for the playoffs season in and season out? Or was this a fluke? And same thing with Seattle. Week 5. Buccaneers at Falcons on Thursday night. That's always a good game when those two teams play. NFC South Division. So even though it's Thursday night game, they gave us a good division matchup. Not too bad. Buffalo at Houston. Early start on Sunday. Baltimore and Cincinnati, early start on Sunday, week 5. These are going to be good games. Indianapolis at Jacksonville, great game. Miami at New England. Let's see what Mayo can do against that supercharged Miami offense. Cleveland at Washington. Could actually mean something, especially for Cleveland. They can't afford to lose too many games to teams like Washington. Washington's going to be fighting because they new coach, Dan Quinn, players like him, and they're at home. Another conference or division game. Raiders at Broncos. I like that. Green Bay at LA. 2 playoff teams. Arizona at San Francisco. Can joystick Kyler Murray go into Santa Clara and pull out the victory? Could definitely have some serious implications for the playoffs. Giants in Seattle on that's the afternoon game. Oh, then we got a renewed rivalry. Cowboys and Steelers. Cowboys at Pittsburgh. All those Super Bowls that they played against one another and great games. That's going to be fun. Sunday Night Football. October 6th. Saints and Chiefs in Arrowhead. Primetime, extra day of rest for the Chiefs at home. We'll see how that goes. Week 5. Week 6. Divisional rivalry game with playoffs written all over it. 49ers at the Seahawks. Thursday Night Football. We kick it off on Thursday night. We'll definitely be doing a live watch stream with that one for sure. 100%. It's going to be a great game. And it'll be a local game here in Tahoe. 49ers are the local team to this area. See a lot of 49er shit. A lot of people from the Bay Area, Sacramento, all that stuff come over here for vacation. Jacksonville going to Chicago. Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence. Oops. Detroit at Dallas. That's going to be a good one. That's the late window game. That's probably going to be the national game. If you're not getting the local broadcast, that's going to be the game they're going to play. Sunday Night Football. Bengals at the Giants. Meh. We'll see how it goes, but I don't like it. I think the Bengals are just a much better team. And then Bills at Jets for Monday Night Football. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully he's still healthy by this time. And we get to see a good battle on Monday Night Football. That's going to be fun. Week 7. Broncos at Saints on Thursday Night Football. Inter-conference game. AFC, NFC. Short week. That's probably going to still be an entertaining game, even though I wonder how Bo Nix is going to do. Where did he play? He played at Auburn, and he played at Oregon. So, not too far. Alabama and Louisiana, right there by each other. Seattle and Atlanta. That could be a fun game. Bengals and Cleveland, division matchup. Burrow, Deshaun, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendricks. I think he just got paid. Trey Hendrickson just got paid by the Bengals. He's sticking around. He's a beast. I can't believe the Saints let him go, but they couldn't afford him. I used to actually play with him on Madden when he was still with the Saints because he was so good. Like all of his numbers were so high, but it's like he he wasn't famous. Nobody was recognizing him at the point. Then when he went to the Bengals, you know what I mean, he really blew up. Miami and Indianapolis, that should be fun. In Indy on that fast track AstroTurf. Houston at Green Bay, two young gun quarterbacks. Love against against Stroud in Houston. Detroit and Minnesota. Got Kansas City and San Francisco. Late window. Week 6. Kansas City at San Francisco. Rematch of the Super Bowl. Must watch television. That one. Sunday Night Football. Steelers and Jets. That should be a good one. As long as everybody's still around playing. Russell Wilson against Aaron Rodgers. Then Monday Night Football. Ravens at Bucks. They beat the shit out of them last time. The Ravens did. And then the Chargers and Cardinals. West Coast rivalry, even though they're in different divisions, because even Los Angeles to Phoenix isn't that far of a drive. When they were in San Diego, it was really close. Like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Not even that far. Now it's a couple more hours, but still. Got to drive through that shitty-ass desert. With all the fucking wind turbines. That's week 7. Week 8. Vikings and Rams on Thursday Night Football. Okay. I love Justin Jefferson. I think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. Overall, like if you take all of his, if you take all the skills and put them together, you can't really design a better wide receiver than him. He looks like Randy Moss, I don't know if he's as fast as Moss, but he's just tall, long arms, great ability to jump, great hands, can track the ball. Like he's just that good. And the fact that he plays on the Vikings, it makes that comparison that much more, kind of adequate. Baltimore at Cleveland. Week 8, Baltimore at Cleveland. Early game, Lamar against Deshaun. If you go and watch my video that I have on YouTube, the 7 players to win the NFL MVP and the Heisman Trophy, you will see that when Lamar Jackson won the Heisman Trophy, Deshaun Watson was the number 2 vote getter. So they've got history. And they played Clemson and Louisville. I don't remember if they played in the same division. I could have swore they played against each other in college, but I know that Deshaun Watson for Clemson was the number 2 Heisman Trophy vote getter to Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson's his actual junior year was better than his sophomore year, but they gave it to, I want to say they gave it to Baker Mayfield because he had that ridiculous season at Oklahoma. But there you go. Rematch. Lamar Jackson. Deshaun Watson. Week 8. Early game. We got what else we got going on here? Again, we got Colts and Houston. Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, and those 2 teams on the come up. Green Bay and Jacksonville. Buffalo and Seattle. That's going to be a good game. It's a late start. They're playing in Washington, so in Seattle. So it's a late window for Buffalo. Philadelphia and Cincinnati. That's a good one. Midwest battle between the conferences. Cowboys and 49ers, Sunday Night Football. The history in that matchup, right? The history in that rivalry. Going back to the catch and even farther back than that. Giants and Steelers on Monday night. Yeah. I'll say if there's any game so far that on the prime time that I'm probably not going to be really enthusiastic to watch, but we'll watch it anyway. That's it. Monday Night Football, Week 8, October 28th. New York Giants against the Pittsburgh Steelers. No way that game goes over, I would say 45 points between, you know what I mean? There's no way. The total's going to be like 45, 44 and a half, somewhere around there. Week 9, Texans at Jets. Old guard, new guard. CJ Stroud, the young buck coming up. Aaron Rodgers, the grizzled vet who's been around forever. Let's watch these two bang heads in Houston on Thursday night. Standalone game. Week 9, October 31st, Halloween. Thursday night football on Halloween. That's going to be fun. I'll have to do something creative for the live stream. I got time. Miami and Buffalo, early game. That's going to be good. LA and Seattle in the late window. Detroit and Green Bay, battle for the NFC North. Jags and Eagles on Sunday Night Football. That could be a pretty good game. Playing in Philly, you know it's going to be loud. Crowd's going to be into it. And then Monday Night Football. Buccaneers take on the Chiefs in Arrowhead. Rematch of the Super Bowl a couple years ago when the Buccaneers got the best of them, Tom Brady. Week 10. Week 10. Thursday Night Football. Cincinnati Bengals take on the Ravens. I want to say they played Thursday night last year. And that was the game when Joe Burrow got hurt. I want to say that was the game because I normally don't play Thursday night games in the Circa Millions contest because you have to submit all 5 of your picks at the same time. So if you pick a Thursday night game, you have to submit the other 4 games before the Thursday night game starts. And I kind of remember that because I normally don't play them, but I played the Ravens that game. And that's when Burrow got hurt. The Ravens ended up winning the game and covering the spread. But it wasn't, I didn't want to see Joe Burrow get hurt in order to win the bet. I'd rather have been healthy and lost it, to be honest with you. But that really stands out. I'm almost positive that they played Thursday night last year. Now they're going to play Thursday night again this year. That's going to be a hell of a game. As long as everybody's there. As long as Lamar's there, as long as Joe's there, as long as everybody's there, that's going to be a great one to watch. Thursday night, we'll be live streaming during that game for sure. Buffalo at Indianapolis, early game. Philly and Dallas in the afternoon, week 10. And then on Sunday Night Football, we get the Detroit Lions taking on the Houston Texans. 2 playoff teams from each division last year going head-to-head Sunday Night Football. Monday Night Football, Dolphins at the Rams. You know all the celebrities are coming out for that one. You're going to see all kinds of famous people in the crowd. when Miami comes to play the Rams, because I would, that's a game I would probably bet the over. That shit's gonna be like 54 points or something like that. It's gonna be up there. That's an over game. Everybody wants the overs, even though it's not really profitable in the long run. Week 11, Commanders and Eagles. Thursday night football, division rival. See how the Washington Commanders do. We'll also see how Houston or the Eagles are doing, with losing some of their players that deep into the season. It's going to be a good game. Sunday, November 17th. We've got Green Bay, Chicago. Always a great rivalry game. Two young quarterbacks, again, playing against one another. Caleb Williams and that pretty loaded Bears team going up against the Packers, a team that made the playoffs last year. Who else? Jacksonville and Detroit. That'll probably be a good game. Probably a lot of points in that one. I don't see a lot of defense. I see a lot of passing. Baltimore taking on Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh every time those two teams play. That's always some old smash mouth football. Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, depending on who's playing at the time. Lamar Jackson. That's going to be a good one. We've got Seattle at San Francisco. I think that's the second game of that series. I think San Francisco will take the home game. And then Cincinnati at Los Angeles Chargers. So we get to see Joe Burrow and company go up against this new Jim Harbaugh-led Chargers team on the late window. And Sunday Night Football, Colts and Jets. That should be a pretty good game. As long as Anthony Richardson and Aaron Rodgers and company can keep themselves healthy, that should be a good game. And then we get the Texans and the Cowboys, battle of the Lone Star State. Dak Prescott, CJ Stroud. Let's go. Week 12. Steelers at the Browns, AFC North Division, Thursday night football. That's going to be some smash mouth football. That's going to be fun to watch. November 21st, Thursday. So that means the following Thursday is Thanksgiving. Yeah, it's on my birthday. What else do we got? San Francisco and Green Bay. I think that's a rematch of last year's playoff games, right? Arizona and Seattle. That could definitely have some playoff implications if both teams are still competing. As long as everybody's good to go. Then you got Eagles and Rams. Eagles at the Rams on Sunday Night Football. Another game where the celebrities will be coming out. Maybe, whenever you got the primetime game in Hollywood or in Inglewood, wherever the stadium's actually at, but in LA, the celebrities are coming out because the cameras are going to be out. They have so many cameras for them primetime games. Then the Ravens at the Chargers. That's going to be good. Justin Herbert taking on reigning MVP Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, now on Thursday, which is Thanksgiving, for week 13, you get 3 games. So the first game is Chicago and Detroit. Obviously, Detroit always plays, so they're playing their rival. Good game. Caleb Williams, get to put him on national television. Early game. Then you get Giants and Dallas. That's always fun. They have some pretty loyal fan bases, so no matter how the team's doing, they're gonna represent. And then for the Thursday night game on Thanksgiving, we get the Dolphins heading to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Here we go. Tua and Love going at it on Sunday Night Football on NBC. And then, so we get 3 games on Thanksgiving, spread out, like they always do. But then we're getting the Black Friday game by Amazon. And that's the Raiders going to Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs. It's at noon. At least, yeah. Yeah, it's at noon. Starts at noon. The Raiders beat the Chiefs last year in Arrowhead. So I'm sure Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and company are going to have that one circled on the schedule. Because not only is it the only game on that Friday, whatever it is, Black Friday game, but it's the team that beat them last year at home. So I'm sure they're going to have some revenge on their mind. And then what do we got? December 1st, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. That could certainly be really important for not only the division, but maybe making the wild card. Houston at Jacksonville. That's going to be a good one. Seattle and the New York Jets. I predict a low-scoring game in that one. I think the defenses are going to dominate on both sides. Philly and Baltimore. There we go. Good. Two young quarterbacks going head-to-head. LA and New Orleans. Then on Sunday night, December 1st, we're going to get the 49ers playing Buffalo, playing the Bills in Buffalo, December 1st. Wonder what the weather will be like. It may not be too extreme. It could be, though. I mean, it is Buffalo. It's like here. The shit starts in November. And then you got Monday Night Football. Browns and Broncos. See what Sean Payton can do with this young quarterback, Bo Nix, and the rest of this team now that he's kind of trimmed the fat from what he got when he first got there. And the Cleveland Browns with their essentially, I think a lot of these people for Cleveland are playing for their futures. You know, Stefanski, Deshaun, like if things don't start to go in a direction that they expect with all the money that they've put out, they might end up just cutting bait and deciding to go somewhere else. Oh, that's gross. They're showing one of those high impact compressor teams or compressing things, and they're squishing all this stuff. They did a bunch of chicken wings. It looked gross. Week 14. Thursday Night Football. NFC North battle. Green Bay Packers taking on the Lions. That's going to be good. That's going to be good. Week 14. Then you've got, on Sunday, you've got the Jets taking on Miami. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty in the season now, too. Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Seattle at Arizona. Buffalo at LA. Chicago at San Francisco. That could be important for both teams. Because if Chicago's defense can play well, and if Caleb Williams turns out to be, good or decent enough with the players that they have, they could certainly make the playoffs. That could be a big, big game this late in the season, and they've got to go out to San Francisco. Afternoon game. That'll be the home game here. Chargers and Chiefs. Great color game. Oh, made for television. Those uniforms made for television. Sunday Night Football. Chargers at Chiefs. That's going to be great. And then Monday night, Bengals at the Cowboys. Both teams should be the thick of it for the playoffs. Monday Night Football in Jerry's World. The big screen. Joe Burrow. Everybody coming out. Yeah, it's going to be something. Be live streaming. Week 15. Rams at 49ers on Thursday Night Football, Week 15. Division game. Week 15, Kansas City Chiefs go to Cleveland. It's going to be cold, windy. Myles Garrett's going to be trying to knock Patrick Mahomes into the ground. Telling you, Kansas City, their schedule is brutal, and if they happen to lose some coin flip games, or worse, lose some key players, there's a real chance they're not going to make the playoffs just because everybody's going to be giving them their best shot, and they're going up against some contenders. That AFC division is just full of them. Miami at Houston, Week 15. Jets at Jacksonville, Week 15. Another big game. This is going to be the red zone. This is red zone junkies. Loving this. Buffalo at Detroit. That's going to be fun. A lot of points in that one. On that fast track. Ford Field. Indy at Denver. Could be a fun game to watch. Pittsburgh at Philadelphia. Battle for Pennsylvania. Week 15 in the 125 slot. 5 games in the afternoon on that day. Sunday Night Football, December 15th. Packers at the Seahawks. That game's got history. Those two franchises have got history. From Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers pulling off the dramatic. Bears at the Vikings. That'll be a good one. 2 Monday night games in Week 15. December 16th. First, you've got Bears at Vikings, and then the second one is the Falcons going out to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Divisional game. Like I said, Falcons have an opportunity to win the division, especially playing weak teams like that. December 19th, Thursday night game. Browns and Bengals, another AFC North division matchup. The AFC North's getting love on Thursday night. A lot of standalone games. They all had winning records last year. A lot of big name players on those teams. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. These are all household names. Even the diehard fans know, or the people who aren't diehard fans know who those guys are. Sunday Night Football, but it's Saturday. This is when we start the Saturday games, Week 16. Texans at the Chiefs. Again, Kansas City. Every game is essentially a playoff game. Every game you're playing a team that made the playoffs. Every game you're playing a team that is looking to give you their best shot, and they're doing it in front of a national audience. So you're getting their best foot. Nobody wants to be made a fool of when everybody's watching you because you're the only game on. You're the only game in town. Saturday afternoon, 10 a.m. start time. And then Saturday, the second game, December 21st, is Steelers at Ravens. Another AFC North battle. Russell Wilson against Lamar Jackson. Old dog, new dog. Those two coaches, Harbaugh and Tomlin, they've been going at each other for 20 years or more. They've both been with those franchises forever. And then December 22nd, the full game, Sundays, full slate. What do we got going on? Detroit at Chicago. That's going to be a good game to watch. Denver at Chargers could mean something. You might have a few games where half the team is in it, half the team isn't. Jacksonville at Vegas. One of those teams could be contending. Jacksonville maybe. And then you got San Francisco going down south to Miami. Long trip. Then my Sunday night game, Buccaneers at the Cowboys. Who knows where the Bucs or the Cowboys are going to be at that time of the season. And then Monday night, December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas, Saints take on the Packers. In Lambeau. Let's hope it snows. I want a snow game. December 23rd. Let's hope we have a snow game. I think I got gypped on the snow game last year. They kept talking about it all week, and then when it came, it was like sunny and nice out. So week 17. We've got 2 games for Christmas on Wednesday, December 25th. Kansas City goes to Pittsburgh. That's going to be good. And then Baltimore takes on Houston. Lamar Jackson, CJ Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson. Christmas. They're bashing the NBA. They're saying, all right, gloves are off. There's no more playing around. We're coming for everybody's time slots. But I mean, they've got multiple screens now, you know what I mean? You can put the football game on one screen and the the other game on another channel. The basketball game typically, right? NBA always had the Christmas schedule. But then we get the Thursday night, December 26th, Seattle at Chicago. Geno Smith, Caleb Williams. Chicago's getting a lot of love this year. December 29th, Sunday, we've got 6 games. Green Bay and Minnesota looks like the big one, and then Dallas and Philadelphia looks like the big one in the afternoon. 1 game in the afternoon. And then you've got the Sunday night game. Dolphins going up to Cleveland. It's going to be cold up there. Let's see how them South Florida boys like it in Cleveland in late December. Then Monday night, we've got, I see what they did here. We have more games than that. They don't know what time the games are going to start. Nothing too crazy. Bunch of maybe Arizona, LA. That's about it. But then on Monday night, you get the Lions at the 49ers. Rematch time. Rematch from the NFC Championship game that the Lions let slip through their fingers, like that defensive back. Week 18, the final week of the season. Every game's going to be a division game. I'm pretty sure that's how they do it now. So there should be some real interesting outcomes. You know, the results and how it affects teams' standings within the playoffs, whether or not they make the playoffs. Do they win the division? Do they get a bye? It's gonna come right down to the final week. They don't have the time set on these yet, just because they obviously want to be able to schedule them so that the teams are playing at the same time. So that they don't know if they've won or lost. You know, they can't rest their guys or whatever because they know they have no shot. So they don't have the time set. They've got the games here. And we've got San Francisco at Arizona. We've got Cleveland at Baltimore. That could be huge for the AFC North. Detroit and Minnesota. Jacksonville, Indy. Chicago and Green Bay. Seattle and LA. Miami and the New York Jets. That one could have potential. Miami going up to the New York in the cold after playing in Cleveland. Probably be more prepared for it. Buffalo and New England. But then you also have Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. That's going to be good. That's going to be a good season. But we've got the games now. I'm glad everybody stuck around and watched it. Now that we have the schedules, I'll start doing my initial evaluations and my initial process of preparing for the upcoming season. Getting my, using the schedule now that we have all the games, time, starts, places, everything all together. Because, that's one of the biggest factors is like back-to-back games, travel, where they're traveling, that kind of stuff that I really like to use when I'm doing my preseason evaluations. Because we don't really know what the rosters are going to look like. So the only thing we can really use is historical data on traveling and playing in different time zones and different countries and that kind of stuff. But we've got the 18-week schedule, people. It's happening. It's happening. The 2024-2025 NFL season is officially underway. The schedule has been released, and we are beginning the process of getting ready for the season, for the Circa Millions contest, for everything. So, to everybody who joined me, be sure to subscribe. Go watch a couple of the videos that we've got up on the YouTube channel and the Gambling Parlor Stories playlist. They're pretty entertaining. They have to do with sports betting and, the football, gambling, history. So if you like that kind of stuff, you might enjoy it. But I'll be working from this point on, not only on the videos, but also for the upcoming NFL season. I plan to stream again next week. I will post it on the YouTube channel before the show's going to air. That way you're notified. So again, hit that notification bell. Hit that subscribe button. I hope everybody joins me throughout the season. I think we're going to have a great one. I'm prepared for it. And, like I said, last year I was 55.7. I was in the top 20. I just needed a couple more weeks to actually cash in the Circa Millions contest. So we're going to try to do it again this year. But again, thanks everybody for joining me. Now that we have the NFL schedules, it's time to get to work and get prepared for the upcoming season. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you very soon.